I'm about to tell you 107 facts about Dexter. So, whether you're completely new to the show or you've been watching for years, I bet you'll learn something new in this video. So sit back and grab your popcorn because this is going to be a long one. Fact 1. Michael C. Hall's reluctant casting. After starring in 6 Feet Under, Michael C. Hall was completely burned out from the grueling TV schedule. He was genuinely wary of making another television commitment because of how demanding his previous show had been. The guy was basically done with TV forever. But then the Dexter pilot script landed on his desk. The unique concept of a forensic analyst moonlighting as a serial killer completely changed his mind. This one script convinced him to take on what would become his career-defining role. Hall's hesitation almost cost us the most iconic TV killer of all time. Fact 2. Book-to-screen shift. Season 1 of Dexter follows Jeff Lindsay's novel Darkly Dreaming Dexter almost perfect. The ice truck killer storyline mirrors the book's plot beat for beat. But here's where it gets interesting. After season 1, the show completely diverged from the source material. The writers started creating totally original stories to keep the series going. This creative choice kept book fans constantly guessing about what would happen next. But it also sparked massive debates about staying faithful to the original novels. Sound familiar, Game of Thrones? Fact 3. Jennifer Carpenter's emotional exit. Jennifer Carpenter, who played the fiery Deborah Morgan, actually pushed for her character's death in season 8. She had internalized Deb's trauma so deeply that it was affecting her personally. Carpenter felt that killing off Deb was the only way to properly honor her character's emotional journey. Especially after Deb discovered Dexter's secret, Carpenter knew her character couldn't psychologically survive that revelation. The actress literally begged the writers to let Deb die because it felt like the only honest ending. Fact 4. Gory books versus toned down show. You think the TV show is bloody? Jeff Lindsay's novels are absolutely insane. The books contain explicit scenes of dismemberment and torture that would never make it to television. We're talking graphic descriptions of body parts being removed and victims being tortured. The TV series had to massively tone down the gore for cable audiences. Instead of focusing on graphic horror, the show emphasized psychological depth and character development. This choice made Dexter accessible to way more viewers while still keeping its dark edge. Fact 5. Clyde Phillips' departure. Original showrunner Clyde Phillips left Dexter after season 4's acclaimed Trinity Killer storyline in 2009. His exit completely shifted the show's tone and quality. Phillips had been the creative force behind the series' most beloved seasons. After he left, later seasons faced heavy criticism for inconsistent writing and weird character decisions. Fans still argue that Phillips' departure marked the exact moment when Dexter started going downhill. Season 4 was basically the show's creative peak. His exit completely shifted the show's tone and quality. Fact 6. Brian's adoption omission. In the novels, Harry Morgan deliberately chose not to adopt Dexter's brother, Brian Moser. Harry actually sensed Brian's darker nature and made the conscious decision to leave him behind. The original series simplifies this backstory and focuses more on Dexter's individual trauma. But this detail from the books adds tragic depth to Harry's impossible choices. Imagine knowing you're saving one damaged child while abandoning another to a terrible fate. The prequel series Dexter: Original Sin does eventually cover this storyline, showing Brian being sent back into the foster system, while Dexter was eventually officially adopted by the Morgan family. Fact 7. Record-breaking finale. The 2013 series finale drew Showtime's largest audience ever at that time. Over 3 million viewers tuned in to watch the divisive lumberjack ending. Despite being one of the most hated finales in television history, it still broke viewership records. This massive audience proves just how powerful Dexter's cultural grip was. Even fans who knew they might hate the ending couldn't resist watching. The finale's controversy is still a hot topic on streaming platforms in 2025. Fact 8. From movie to series. Dexter was originally pitched as a feature film before Showtime decided on a series format. Can you imagine cramming Dexter's entire story into 2 hours? The series format allowed for much deeper exploration of his psychology and ongoing cat and mouse games with law enforcement. This decision set a precedent for serialized anti-hero dramas that followed. We probably wouldn't have Breaking Bad or other complex anti-heroes without Dexter proving the format worked. Fact 9. Hall's stalking practice. To nail Dexter's predatory stealth, Michael C. Hall secretly followed strangers in New York City. He would blend into crowds and practice going completely unnoticed by random people. This method acting brought chilling authenticity to Dexter's ability to stalk and hunt victims. Hall literally learned how to be invisible in plain sight. The fact that he practiced on real, unsuspecting people makes his performance even more captivating. It adds an unsettling authenticity to his performance. Method acting at its most disturbing. Fact 10. Julie Benz's audition swap. Julie Benz, known for playing Sweet Rita Bennett, originally auditioned for the role of Deborah Morgan. Casting directors saw her natural warmth and realized she'd be perfect for Dexter's unsuspecting wife instead. This casting decision amplified the heartbreak of Rita's shocking death in season 4. Having such a genuinely warm actress play the innocent victim made her murder even more devastating. Benz brought a believability to Rita that made viewers truly care about her fate. Fact 11. Real-life romance. Michael C. Hall and Jennifer Carpenter, who played siblings Dexter and Deb, actually married in real life in 2008. They met on set and fell in love despite playing brother and sister. Their 2010 divorce happened while they were still filming the show together. Amazingly, their personal drama didn't hurt their on-screen chemistry at all. They continued delivering intense sibling dynamics through the show's final season. Professional actors gonna act professionally. Fact 12. David Zayas' son as a double. In season 8, David Zayas' real son, David Jr., served as a body double for his father's character, Angel Batista. The family resemblance was so striking that producers could use him for certain shots. This family cameo added a personal touch to the production that most viewers never noticed. It's actually so sweet that Zayas got to work with his son on such an iconic show, father-son bonding through fake police work. Fact 13. Zayas' cop roots. David Zayas was an actual NYPD police officer before becoming an actor. His real law enforcement experience brought authentic cop behavior to the fictional Miami Metro Department. Zayas understood police procedures, hierarchy, and the day-to-day reality of detective work. This background lent serious credibility to Batista's compassionate yet savvy detective persona. Having a real cop in the cast grounded the show's police procedural elements. Fact 14. Zayas' military past. Before joining the NYPD, David Zayas served in the U.S. Air Force. His military background brought discipline and grit to his portrayal of Batista. You can see that military bearing in how he carries himself and interacts with authority figures. This background shaped Batista's steady, reliable presence in the chaotic homicide unit. Zayas' real-world experience in both military and police work made him incredibly valuable to the production. Fact 15. Hall and Carpenter's dynamic. Hall and Carpenter's real-life marriage lasted from 2008 to 2010, overlapping with seasons 3 through 6. Fans constantly speculated about how their personal relationship influenced their intense on-screen sibling tension. Some of Deb's most emotionally complex storylines happened during their marriage. Their personal bond during filming definitely added layers to their performances. Even after divorcing, they maintained incredible professional chemistry. Fact 16. Hall's cancer battle. In January 2010, Michael C. Hall was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, but continued filming Dexter throughout his treatment. His private struggle with a life-threatening illness eerily mirrored Dexter's hidden double life. Hall was literally fighting for his life while playing a character obsessed with death. The parallel between his real-life secret and his character's secret adds an extra layer of intensity to his performance. His commitment to the role during such a difficult time is absolutely incredible. Hall kept his cancer diagnosis secret from most of his co-stars and crew members. He wore hats and hoodies to conceal the hair loss from chemotherapy treatments. This secrecy perfectly paralleled Dexter's ability to compartmentalize and hide his true nature from everyone around him. The fact that Hall was hiding his real-life struggle while playing a character who hides everything added an eerie realness to the production. By April 2010, Hall announced that he was in remission from lymphoma. His recovery allowed him to focus fully on Dexter without the distraction of fighting cancer. His triumph over the disease inspired fans around the world. People still praise his resilience and determination on social media platforms. Hall's real-life victory over death made his portrayal of a character wholly preoccupied with killing all the more interesting. Before you watch any further, I'm happy to finally announce that I'm releasing the first limited drop of my t-shirts. At the start, there are only 100 available, so make sure you buy them while you can at dtmerch.store. Enjoy the video. Fact 17, wig workaround. For the first 5 episodes of Season 5, Hall wore a carefully crafted wig to hide his chemotherapy-induced hair loss. The makeup team did such seamless work that fans never noticed anything really different about his appearance. This technical achievement proves the incredible skill of the behind-the-scenes crew. They maintain perfect continuity while helping their lead actor through a medical crisis. The fact that this went completely unnoticed shows how professional the entire production was. Fact 18. Who was Harry's partner? In the original series, Harry is shown mourning the death of his partner Davy Sanchez. He was apparently so upset that the killer got away with it that he began officially training Dexter to take out killers. This fact appears to be retconned in the prequel series, as Harry's partner is presented as a man named Bobby Watt, portrayed by Reno Wilson. It confuses many fans who remember the plotline in which Harry kills himself shortly after walking in on Dexter dismembering Juan Rhinus, the man who killed Davy. It is possible that a second season of Original Sin could have explained the seeming inconsistencies and smoothed out the timeline, but now that it has been canceled in a decision that shocked many, there may never be an understanding of where Davy, Rhinus, and Bobby truly fall in Dexter and Harry's timeline. Kinda frustrating, isn't it? Fact 19. Trinity's ritual disrupted. Despite what Agent Lundy initially believed, Trinity's ritual actually involved killing in sets of 4. His cycle started with the abduction of a young boy who he would later bury alive. That was followed by the bathtub murder of a young woman, forcing a mother of 2 to jump to her death, and finally end when he bludgeoned a father to death. He killed in the exact same routine in every city he visited for over 30 years. In fact, the only known kills Trinity performed outside of his ritual happened after he met Dexter. The first was the murder of a man named Kyle Butler. Dexter had been using that name as an alias to get close to Trinity. The real Kyle Butler caught Arthur trying to break into his home one night, prompting Trinity to kill him to avoid being turned into the police. The only other kill that was outside of his ritual was the murder of Rita Morgan after he discovered Dexter's true identity. Dexter really threw Arthur off his game. Fact 20. Deb's swear record. Jennifer Carpenter's Deborah Morgan dropped the F-bomb exactly 996 times across all 8 seasons of the show. Couldn't make it an even 1,000, huh? Fans actually took the time to count every single curse word she said. Her constant profanity defined Deb's raw, no-filter personality perfectly. Carpenter's delivery made every curse feel natural and authentic to the character. Deb's swearing became such an iconic part of the show that it's still quoted widely on social media. Fact 21. Blood slide count. Dexter's blood slide collection contains roughly 134 victims based on shown and implied kills throughout the series. Each slide represented one of his carefully selected murders, but not every kill came with a blood slide. For his first kills, as well as the killing of his brother and a few select others, Dexter didn't take a trophy. The reasons why vary based on his emotional state and the stage he was in on his journey. Still, fans obsessively tracked Dexter's body count on forums and websites. This meticulous ritual of collecting blood samples fascinated viewers who tried to keep their own tallies. The slides became the perfect symbol of Dexter's methodical, trophy-collecting nature, something his father Harry never approved of. Fact 22. Lindsay's casting doubts. Author Jeff Lindsay initially opposed Michael C. Hall's casting as Dexter Morgan. Lindsay had envisioned a completely different physical type for his literary creation. He thought Hall was wrong for the role based on appearance and previous work, but Hall's absolutely chilling performance in the pilot episode completely changed Lindsay's mind. The author realized that Hall embodied the character's essence perfectly, despite not matching his original vision. Sometimes actors know the character better than their creators. Fact 23. Lithgow's Emmy win. John Lithgow's portrayal of the Trinity Killer in Season 4 earned him a well-deserved Emmy Award in 2010. His character was inspired by real serial killers like BTK. Lithgow's ability to portray both a loving family man and a brutal murderer was absolutely terrifying. The duality of his performance made Trinity one of the most haunting villains in television history. His Emmy win bolstered the very popular opinion that Season 4 was the show's creative and critical peak. Fact 24. Clever opening credits. The Dexter opening sequence brilliantly turns mundane morning activities into violent metaphors. Simple acts like shaving, cutting fruit, and cooking eggs become loaded with violent imagery. Blood drips and slicing motions hint at Dexter's killing rituals in plain sight. This artistic choice sets the show's dark tone perfectly from the very first episode. The opening credits are still considered one of the most creative and effective in television history. Fact 25. Golden Globe glory. Dexter nabbed 2 Golden Globe Awards during its run. Michael C. Hall won for Best Actor in a Television Series Drama in 2010. John Lithgow also won for Best Supporting Actor for his Trinity Killer performance. These prestigious wins solidified the show's place among television's elite dramas. The recognition is still celebrated by fans as proof of the show's quality and staying power. Even with the controversial finale of the original series, these awards represent Dexter at its absolute best. Fact 26. Marketing misstep. A 2006 promotional campaign sent fake crime scene text messages and emails to potential viewers. Some recipients mistook these messages for spam or actual threats. The bold marketing stunt generated complaints and highlighted the risks of early viral marketing. This campaign showed just how ahead of its time Dexter was in terms of innovative promotion. The fake crime scenes were meant to be immersive, but ended up being more confusing and concerning than effective. Fact 27. Real-world controversy. In 2009, teenager Andrew Conley claimed that watching Dexter inspired him to take his younger brother's life. This tragic case sparked intense debates about media violence and its potential influence on viewers. The incident became a dark footnote in the show's legacy that's still discussed today. Critics argued that the show glorified vigilante violence, while defenders claimed it actually explored the psychology of evil. This controversy illustrated the power and responsibility of creating morally complex entertainment. However, to this day, there is no statistically significant research linking the intake of violent media to consumers acting out violence in real life. Fact 28. Doomsday Killer. Dexter has always been multifaceted. Season 6's Doomsday Killer crafts elaborate murders based on the Book of Revelation. This religious angle challenged Dexter's typically secular worldview about justice and morality. The killer's apocalyptic themes added philosophical depth to the show's exploration of good and evil. Some fans found the religious symbolism heavy-handed, while others appreciated the added complexity. The season proved that Dexter could tackle spiritual themes alongside psychological ones. Fact 29. Harry's Code. Across all 96 episodes, Dexter follows Harry's Code with 2 primary rules: don't get caught, and 2, never hurt an innocent. This code drives Dexter's internal conflict throughout the entire series. The code represents an attempt to channel evil toward a greater good. Fans still dissect and debate the philosophy behind Harry's teachings online and whether he was a good father to Dexter or not. Ultimately, these rules become both Dexter's salvation and his prison. Fact 30. Lumberjack ending. The 2013 finale sees Dexter fake his death and become a lumberjack in Oregon. This divisive choice was meant to symbolize his complete exile from humanity. Fans absolutely hated this ending and felt betrayed by the creative team. The lumberjack twist became a meme representing terrible TV endings. New Blood was specifically created to address fan frustrations with this conclusion. Sometimes creative risks don't pay off. Fact 31. Showtime's rise. Premiering on October 1st, 2006, Dexter elevated Showtime's status to rival HBO's prestige programming. The show's bold narrative choices and complex characters proved that Showtime could produce quality, original content. Dexter's success paved the way for other Showtime hits like Homeland and Billions. the show's influence on the network's reputation persists as new spin-offs keep the brand alive. It can be argued that this one show literally changed the network's entire identity. Fact 32, Anti-Hero Pioneer. Dexter paved the way for shows like Breaking Bad by proving audiences would root for morally complex protagonists. The show earned critical acclaim for its exploration of moral ambiguity and psychological complexity. Early seasons influenced an entire generation of television writers and producers. Without Dexter's success, we might not have Walter White, Joe Goldberg, or Villanelle. The show pioneered the anti-hero television boom that continues today. Dexter has even been dubbed America's favorite serial killer. He really is the OG anti-hero. Fact 33, Netflix rental record. Dexter became Netflix's most rented DVD box set in the pre-streaming era. This achievement proves the show's incredible binge appeal even when physical media was required. Fans couldn't wait for weekly episodes and needed to consume entire seasons at once. The rental record highlighted Dexter's addictive storytelling before binge watching became the norm. Its 2025 streaming availability on Paramount Plus continues to attract new viewers and old fans alike. Fact 34, Season 1 Book Ties. Season 1 closely mirrors darkly dreaming Dexter, but makes key changes like keeping LaGuerta alive. These tweaks allowed the show to set up future storylines impossible in the book version. The balance between fidelity to the source material and creative freedom shaped the series' entire trajectory. Keeping certain characters alive opened up new dramatic possibilities. This approach let the show honor its source material while also becoming something all its own. Fact 35, Lindsay's Legacy. Jeff Lindsay wrote 8 Dexter novels, but the TV show diverged completely after adapting the first book. The series created original villains and storylines to sustain television storytelling. Lindsay served as a consultant to ensure some of the book's spirit remained in the adaptation. This split created 2 distinct Dexter universes for fans to explore and enjoy. Both versions have passionate followings with different strengths and appeals. Fact 36, Slice of Life pun. Dexter's boat name, Slice of Life, serves as a darkly clever reference to his dismemberment rituals and body disposal methods. This subtle wordplay delights observant fans who catch the morbid humor. The boat becomes both his escape and his weapon in the perfect dual symbolism. These details show the writing team's attention to layered storytelling. Sometimes the best jokes are the darkest ones. Fact 37, Slice of Pie. We have all realized that Dexter gets rid of his victims' bodies by dumping them off the side of a boat. But before he perfected his method, Dexter used to toss the body parts of his victims into a swamp. But in Original Sin, did you notice something new happen? By the end of the prequel series, Dexter had already evolved to dumping his victims' body parts into the sea. He had already experienced 2 problems trying to use Alligator Alley, so he knew he had to switch it up. When it came to getting rid of the big bad, Aaron Spencer, Dexter took it to bigger waters. Family friend Camilla told Dexter he could use her boat when needed. Well, unfortunately for, or possibly known to her, Dexter only needed her boat to get rid of the evidence of a murder. As he comes back from dumping his victim's body, the name of the boat is seen clearly, Slice of Pie. A clear homage to the original series, during which Dexter performed a mercy killing. Camilla had terminal cancer, and she wanted to die in peace. She asked Dexter for the perfect piece of key lime pie, and rejected every single one until he injected one with a lethal dose of M99. Fact 38, Rita's shocking end. The season 4 finale reveal of Rita's murder is considered one of television's most gut-punching moments. Trinity's killing of Rita in their bathtub destroyed viewers emotionally. The impact of her death still lingers in fan discussions and retrospectives. This moment is often cited as the peak emotional devastation in the entire series. Julie Benz's innocent portrayal made Rita's death absolutely heartbreaking for everyone involved. Although it was such a big moment in the show, hardly anyone in the cast knew it was coming until the day of filming. The writers wrote in fake endings to the seasons to prevent any leaks and keep the actors fresh and motivated, even if they were slated to die before the next season. Julie Benz says that she regrets not fighting to keep Rita in the show. Who knows how the series would have developed if Dexter's wife and kids had stayed around. Fact 39, Dexter's Dark Joy. Although Dexter claims his kills serve justice, subtle visual cues show he genuinely enjoys the act of murder. His facial expressions and body language reveal pleasure beyond mere duty. This complexity complicates his anti-hero status and makes him more genuinely disturbing. The show never lets viewers forget that Dexter is ultimately a predator who enjoys killing. This nuance fuels ongoing fan analyses of his true psychological nature. Fact 40, Resurrection Shift. The revival series Dexter Resurrection, released in July of this year, shows Dexter awakening from a coma with a slightly warmer personality. This character evolution hints at possible redemption or at least psychological growth. The change excites fans who are eager to see what comes next in his story. A warmer Dexter could explore themes of healing and humanity that the original series touched on. This evolution represents a fascinating new chapter for the character. Fact 41, Improvised Kill. There is a rare instance in New Blood. Police interrupted Dexter just as he was about to perform a kill, forcing him to murder his victim via drug overdose instead of his preferred knife method. This unusual pivot showcased his adaptability and quick thinking under pressure. The scene demonstrated that Dexter could adjust his methods when circumstances demanded it. Fans love analyzing this moment because it shows his flexibility as a predator. Even the most methodical killers sometimes have to improvise. Fact 42, Subduing Methods. Dexter typically uses chokeholds or M99 tranquilizers to capture his victims safely and quietly. These techniques reflect his forensic precision and scientific approach to murder. His methods keep the kills clean and controlled, fitting his methodical nature perfectly. This is untrue for his first few kills, which required quite a bit of wrestling and hand-to-hand combat. The evolution of his subduing techniques shows how Dexter applies his analytical mind to every aspect of killing. Everything he does serves his need for control and perfection. Fact 43, Lila's Chaos. Season 2's volatile artist Lila West draws inspiration from an even more unhinged version in the books. Her toxic relationship with Dexter explores themes of addiction and destructive attraction. The explosive dynamic between them creates some of the series' most intense psychological drama. Lila represents the chaos that threatens Dexter's carefully controlled world. Sometimes the most dangerous people are those who understand our darkness. Fact 44, Animated Dexter. Dexter Early Cuts is an animated web series that serves as a sort of prequel to the original series. Released online in 2009, Early Cuts explores Dexter's early years as a vigilante serial killer, depicting his first few victims and how he refined his code. The series is presented in a graphic novel-style animation and provides additional backstory not shown in the main series, giving fans deeper insight into Dexter's psychology and moral development. If you are a Dexter mega fan, it's definitely worth checking out. Fact 45, Emmy Haul. Dexter won 4 Emmy Awards, including the aforementioned win for John Lithgow's portrayal of the Trinity Killer. The show also received technical Emmys for achievements like editing and sound design. These accolades highlight the superior craftsmanship behind every aspect of the production. The recognition proves that Dexter excelled in both creative and applied elements. These awards are still celebrated in 2025 retrospectives as proof of the show's quality. Fact 46, IMDb rating. With an impressive 8.6 out of 10 rating from over 750,000 IMDb users, Dexter remains a fan favorite despite finale criticism. The high rating shows that most viewers focus on the show's overall quality rather than just the ending. Hall's performance continues to drive the show's enduring appeal among new and returning viewers. Even with its flaws, Dexter's strengths far outweigh its weaknesses, according to most fans and critics. The high-quality storytelling, casting, and plot lines transcend the arguably disappointing conclusions of the original series and New Blood. The newer installments, Dexter Original Sin and Dexter Resurrection, keep this trend going, holding 8.2 out of 10 and 9 out of 10 ratings respectively. Fact 47, Moral Themes. By many people's admission, the show is so compelling because of how it probes deep questions about justice, guilt, and redemption through Dexter's conflicted psychology. These philosophical themes make Dexter much more than just a crime drama or horror series. The exploration of morality through a killer's perspective forces viewers to examine their own beliefs. These complex themes continue to spark discussions on social media and academic forums. Dexter poses questions about human nature that don't have easy answers, and also provides colorful, eye-catching visuals that make it hard to look away from. Fact 48. Later season criticism. Seasons after the acclaimed 4th season faced significant criticism for uneven plots and character inconsistencies. Many believe that the writing quality declined noticeably after original showrunner Clyde Phillips departed. Character development suffered and storylines became less coherent and compelling. Even the biggest fans acknowledged that the show lost its way in later seasons. Season 7 is seen as a slightly redemptive season, sandwiched between the less impressive seasons 6 and 8. New Blood was even compelling, and I'll be honest, I actually did enjoy New Blood despite the ending, knowing especially that the ending is retconned essentially. New Blood becomes that much more easy to watch. But many were still let down by the finale. Luckily, the finales for Original Sin and Resurrection, on the other hand, have been more well received. Fact 49. 8 novels. Jeff Lindsay wrote 8 Dexter books, but the TV show only adapted the first one directly. The series created entirely unique storylines and character arcs after season 1. This split offers fans 2 distinct Dexter universes to explore and enjoy separately. Both versions have passionate followings who debate the merits of each approach. The books and show complement each other while telling very different stories. Fact 50. Rooting for a killer. Dexter's genius lies in making viewers actively cheer for a serial killer to succeed. This psychological manipulation forces audience to reflect on their own sense of right and wrong. The show challenges viewers to examine why they support vigilante violence in fiction, and if they would do the same in real life. This complex relationship between audience and anti-hero keeps Dexter a hot topic in pop culture analysis. The show makes us feel complicit in ways that are deeply uncomfortable. Fact 51. Streaming surge. All 8 seasons of Dexter streamed on Netflix in the US until the summer of 2025, fueling a massive wave of new fans. Social media buzz proves that the show's appeal remains timeless across different generations. Streaming platforms have given Dexter a second life with audiences who missed it originally, and also give the ability to indulge in each new installment as well. The accessibility ensures that new viewers continue discovering the series regularly. Good storytelling never goes out of style. Fact 52. Quinn's suspicion. Fans theorize that Detective Quinn suspected Dexter's secret identity starting in season 5 based on subtle clues. Some believe Quinn deliberately ignored evidence to stay out of Dexter's way and maintain his relationship with Deb. This unconfirmed theory adds fascinating depth to Quinn's character development and motivations. The speculation thrives in online fan communities who analyze every interaction. Sometimes what characters don't say is more important than what they do. Fact 53. Secret Keepers. Only a handful of characters throughout the series know Dexter's full truth and live to tell about it. Harrison in New Blood joins this exclusive club of people who understand Dexter's nature completely and remain alive. The selective trust Dexter shows heightens the drama whenever someone discovers his secret. Betrayal becomes a constant threat when so few people know the real Dexter. Trust is the most dangerous thing a serial killer can offer. If you're loving these insane facts, hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started. Fact 54. Original Sin prequel. Dexter Original Sin, premiering in December 2024, explores young Dexter's first kills with Patrick Gibson starring as young Dexter. The prequel promised fresh insights into how Harry's code developed and shaped young Dexter's evolution. Christian Slater was cast as Harry Morgan to show their relationship's early dynamics. This origin story excites fans who want to understand how Dexter became the killer we know. Prequels can either enhance or diminish a character's mystique, but Original Sin was a hit with many fans, though some did find it to be lackluster and confusing at times due to unexplained retconning in certain areas. Still, for Dexter addicts, getting a prequel series was a huge win. There is a huge petition online to reinstate the renewal of Original Sin. Fingers crossed Paramount reverses their decision to can it. Fact 55. New Blood reboot. Dexter New Blood from 2021 specifically addressed the finale backlash by moving Dexter to a snowy town on the outskirts of New York City. The limited series tried to redeem the character and give fans a more satisfying conclusion. Its ending not only tied into the beginning of Original Sin, but also set up the beginning of the Resurrection series while providing some closure. The show proves that sometimes creative teams get second chances to fix their mistakes, and that fan feedback can actually influence larger production decisions. Fact 56. Ice Truck Killer. Season 1's Brian Moser reveal as Dexter's biological brother remains one of the most shocking twists in television history. The killer's connection to Dexter's childhood trauma created deeply personal stakes for the protagonist. This family connection elevated the typical cat and mouse dynamic into something much more emotionally complex. The twist still gives me chills when I rewatch the first season. Great revelations recontextualize everything that came before. It's also interesting to recognize that Dexter spent over 30 years of his life suppressing his own origins while never being the wiser. And although Brian was the only person who was honest with Dexter, while Harry was proven to be a self-serving liar, Dexter still had more affinity for his foster father than his biological brother. Looks like blood isn't always thicker than water. Fact 57. Dexter's hypocrisy. In Season 3 of the original series, Dexter reluctantly befriends Miami's ADA Miguel Prado. It seems that they have a successful friendship going until Miguel kills Ellen Wolf, an innocent woman, simply for interfering with some of his court cases. Dexter is almost willing to let that one slide, but when Miguel begins targeting Maria LaGuerta, Dexter realizes that he is out of control and will continue to kill innocents to suit his own needs. He does end up killing Miguel for this stated reason, but it ends up being quite a fickle decision, seeing as Dexter planned to kill Maria himself by the end of Season 7. Maria was onto him and on the brink of proving that he was the Bay Harbor Butcher. In keeping with the code, he couldn't allow himself to get caught, so even though Maria was not a killer, he was going to kill her himself. It's unclear if he even considered the parallels between his decision to eliminate Maria and Miguel's, but the choice was deeply hypocritical either way. It makes one wonder if Dexter was delusional and if his decision to kill Miguel was more personal than he let on when he did. Fact 58. Long Beach Stand-In. Despite being set in sunny Miami, Dexter was primarily filmed in Long Beach, California for budget reasons. The production team used establishing shots of actual Florida locations to maintain authenticity. This cost-saving measure didn't detract from the show's vibrant Miami atmosphere at all. Viewers accepted the fictional Miami because the storytelling was so compelling. Many didn't even realize that it was not actually shot in Miami. Sometimes creative solutions work better than unnecessarily expensive authenticity. Fact 59. Voiceover insight. Paul's internal narration gives viewers direct access to Dexter's emotionless, calculating mind. The intimate voiceover perspective makes audiences complicit in his thoughts and plans. This narrative technique blends dark humor with chilling psychology perfectly. The inner voice makes viewers feel like Dexter's confidants and accomplices. And although some of his flashbacks prove Dexter to be a slightly unreliable narrator, the first-person narration still creates unprecedented intimacy with the killer. Fact 60. Trinity's Mirror. Season 4's Trinity Killer serves as a dark reflection of Dexter's own attempts to balance killing with family life. Both characters hide their murderous nature behind facades of normalcy and respectability. John Lithgow's performance created the perfect psychological foil for Dexter's internal struggles. The parallel between their lives made Trinity the most compelling and terrifying villain. Sometimes the best enemies reflect the hero's own darkness. Luckily for us, our famed anti-hero would never treat the people around him the way that Trinity does. Trinity's choice of victims and his treatment of his family serve to humanize Dexter. Fact 61. Justice debates. Dexter sparked real-world discussions about vigilante ethics and the nature of justice in modern society. Fans continue debating the morality of Dexter's code on social media and academic forums. The show's influence extends beyond entertainment into serious philosophical discourse. These discussions prove that great television challenges audiences on many levels. Fiction becomes powerful when it compels us to examine real beliefs. Fact 62. Harrison's legacy. Dexter's son Harrison grapples with his inherited darkness throughout New Blood's generational storyline. The father-son conflict explores whether evil is learned or genetic. Harrison's struggle resonates with fans exploring themes of nature versus nurture in human development. This is seen not only between Dexter and Harrison, but between Arthur Mitchell, the Trinity Killer, and his estranged and deeply disturbed daughter, Christine Hill. The Next Generation storyline adds fresh perspective to very relatable real-life themes. Children always pay for their parents' sins in some way, and yet they still tend to vie for the love and acceptance from those parents, no matter how traumatic their relationship has been. Fact 63. Harry's Code Origins. Harry's Code represents a flawed attempt to channel Dexter's uncontrollable urges toward a greater good. The philosophical framework drives fan theories about control, morality, and the nature of evil. The code becomes both Dexter's salvation and his prison throughout the series. These rules provide structure for a chaotic mind while limiting true freedom. Moral frameworks often become their own kind of trap, and many question Harry's decision to train his son to be a killer with a conscience, rather than finding him help or allowing him to be arrested. Was Harry actually insane himself? Some argue that he was, but the interpretation is highly subjective and varies from viewer to viewer. Fact 64. Miguel Prado's betrayal. Season 3's corrupt prosecutor Miguel Prado, played expertly by Jimmy Smits, starts as Dexter's ally before becoming a dangerous enemy. The arc's unexpected twists and character development make it a standout storyline that fans couldn't look away from. Prado's transformation from friend to foe shows how power corrupts even well-intentioned people. This betrayal ranks high in fan discussions of the series' best antagonists. The need to take out Miguel is reminiscent of when Dexter had to kill his own brother to protect innocent people. Loneliness seemed to be an inevitable part of Dexter's legacy at that point. He couldn't and didn't really trust anyone, and it seemed he never would. Fact 65. Dark humor. Dexter masterfully balances graphic violence with ironic humor and clever killer quips during murder scenes. This tonal mixture keeps the show engaging and accessible despite its dark subject matter. The humor provides necessary relief from the intense psychological horror. Dexter's jokes during kills are disturbingly funny and memorable. Comedy can make even the darkest material palatable. Fact 66. Resurrection casting. Dexter Resurrection has a plot unlike any other season in the Dexter universe thus far. It follows Dexter as he infiltrates what is essentially a social club for serial killers, organized by a maniacal billionaire. Besides Dexter, who is masquerading as someone else as usual, there were 4 other killers in the group, each more fascinating than the next. What is amazing about this new group is that they are each portrayed by an award-winning actor who's able to perfectly embody exactly what the script called for their particular character. Even more amazing is that the showrunners got their first choice actor for every role. That is almost unheard of in Hollywood. Plenty of times there are scheduling conflicts for shoots, other times the actor is not interested in the offer or the project. But for Dexter Resurrection, every single person Clyde Phillips and the crew had in mind immediately agreed to join the cast. Everyone. Uma Thurman, Peter Dinklage, Eric Stonestreet, Kristen Ritter, Neil Patrick Harris, David Dastmalchian was more than ecstatic to be invited to be part of such a beloved series. There were no casting issues because of this, and that helped to give fans an absolutely spectacular first season. Season 2 is unlikely to disappoint as we see a full return to form for the show. Fact 67. Art imitating life. It's a little known fact that Jack Alcott, who plays Harrison, and Emilia Suarez, the actress who plays Elsa in Resurrection, are actually friends in real life. They had been friends long before she was cast, and it was actually Jack who broke the news to her that she had gotten the role. He called her up one day and asked if she wanted to run lines together, and it slowly dawned on her that she was going to be on the show. To say that she was overjoyed would be an understatement. The opportunity to work with a person you are already so comfortable with, while also being amongst greats like Michael C. Hall and Uma Thurman, no doubt made their performances much less strained and highly authentic. They were both very happy to know that they would be working on such a unique and loved project together. Hopefully we get to see more of Elsa and her son Dante in the next season. Fact 68. Batista and Wallace. Much like Jack and Amelia, David Zayas and Kadia Seraf have been friends in real life for years. It was actually David who encouraged Kadia to audition for the role of Claudette Wallace. Though she is far less still and standoffish in real life, he knew that his friend would be able to pull off the role of Detective Claudette Wallace no problem. And pull it off she did. Claudette is perhaps one of the most unique characters we've witnessed in the history of the series. Her disinterest in receiving praise, her disaffected speech patterns, and overall detachment from the opinions of her colleagues makes Wallace stand out, and Kadia hit all the right marks for this role. Such perfect casting was a mainstay in Dexter Resurrection, and we have David Zayas, another unforgettable actor, to thank for her involvement. Fact 69, Hall's charm. Michael C. Hall's casting, though initially questioned, was also spot on. His performance perfectly blends Dexter's awkward social warmth with his underlying cold detachment. This nuanced acting makes a monster somehow sympathetic and relatable to audiences. Hall's universal praise for this complex portrayal drives the show's continuing streaming popularity. His ability to humanize a killer, while maintaining his menacing nature, is unprecedented. Great acting can make us empathize with almost anyone. Fact 70, Dark Passenger Shift. The novels portray Dexter's Dark Passenger as an actual demonic entity, while the show treats it as a psychological metaphor. Not everyone who loves the shows has read the books, but understand there are plenty of key differences between the two. This supernatural element would have been too mystical for television's grounded approach. The psychological interpretation keeps the series rooted in believable human psychology. This change made Dexter more relatable while maintaining his mystique. Oftentimes, less supernatural means more scary, as people begin to believe that they could find themselves in a situation like the one on the screen. The slight shift in what the Dark Passenger is or represents only helped solidify Dexter in the cultural zeitgeist, kinda like the Gemini Killer was. Fact 71, which Gareth is which? Spoiler ahead, if you have finished Dexter Resurrection, you know that there was not one Gemini Killer, but two. Gareth was a twin, and not even Prater was ever the wiser. They had a pact never to be seen in public together, and they also developed a sophisticated style of communication that would allow them to plan kills without a digital trail. But if you watch closely, you'll notice the subtle differences between the two Gareths. The actor David Dastmalchian made the creative choice to make one of the twins left-handed and the other right-handed. One also tends to wear more muted and dark colors, while the other incorporates more colors into their wardrobe. Lastly, one of the twins is more of a braggart, while the other is less interested in the notoriety that the Gemini Killer case has gained. These differences are so slight that you could be forgiven for not noticing them at first, but once they are seen, they can't be unseen. Just like the original soundtrack cannot be unheard, it is iconic and perfectly curated. Fact 72, Miami soundtrack. Daniel Licht, R.I.P., the composer of the original series' iconic theme song. Daniel's Latin-infused musical score perfectly captures Miami's cultural, sultry, and dangerous atmosphere. The music enhances both tension and the show's unique geographic personality. The iconic theme song is still remixed and referenced on YouTube all the time. Great television music becomes inseparable from the viewing experience. The entire playlist for Dexter is available on YouTube, and it's well worth the listen. The right soundtrack can transport you to another world. Fact 73, more about the music. Much like with the original series, the add-on series have soundtracks that are perfect for what they're trying to pull off. Original Sin uses classics from that time period, including Vanilla Ice's Ice Ice Baby, Nothing But a Good Time by Poison, and Everybody Dance Now by C&C Music Factory, which were all incredibly popular in the 90s. New Blood offers more of a small town feel with its soundtrack, which is apt given that Iron Lake is a very small town. And finally, Resurrection comes through with beats that are varied, featuring a nice blend of urban hip-hop, underground indie, classic rock, and even a few widely accepted songs like Mad World, the cover of Tears for Fears by Gary Jules. Fun fact, Gary Jules re-recorded this song just for the ending of Dexter Resurrection Episode 9. All of the soundtracks complement their respective series so well. Dexter fans get it all. Compelling storylines, captivating character development, insane visuals, and soundtracks to match. But not every part of Dexter has been so widely accepted by viewers. Fact 74, Hannah McKay's romance. Yvonne Strahovski's Hannah in seasons 7 and 8 represents a killer who matches Dexter's darkness perfectly. Their relationship explores whether two monsters can find love without destroying each other. The chemistry between them creates a volatile and fascinating romantic dynamic. Hannah understands Dexter in ways that normal people never could. Love between killers becomes the ultimate forbidden romance, but not all fans were on board with the relationship. Hannah McKay was a cold-blooded killer who even tried to kill Dexter's sister Deb, yet he continued pursuing her as if she didn't meet the code and wasn't deserving of his knife. Hannah lied directly to Dexter's face and even tried to gaslight him into thinking he was crazy for even thinking she would try to kill Deborah, only for him to find out it was all true. Yet he still wanted to be with her, and even left his only son with her. While it's understandable that he would want to be with someone who understood his urge and didn't want to control him, under no other circumstance has Dexter ever allowed someone to play with him the way he let Hannah. Their romance was a complete diversion from who we all knew Dexter to be. He let us down in a way by choosing her, abandoning a son, and running away to be a lumberjack. Or maybe he just made us realize how complicit we all were in his selfishness. Either way, while we all wanted to see Dexter happy, not everyone could get on board with the idea of that being with known killer Hannah McKay. Fact 75, Trivia Treasure Trove. Websites like Fun Trivia hosted over 225 detailed Dexter questions, covering everything from obscure quotes to specific murder methods. These extensive quizzes fuel active fan engagement across online communities. The depth of fan knowledge proves the show's lasting cultural impact. Trivia communities keep shows alive long after they end. True fans remember every detail. Fact 76, Trivia Galore. Trivia Nerd hosts nearly 100 Dexter questions, testing everything from plot details to obscure character facts. These comprehensive quizzes keep fan communities active and engaged years after the show ended. The depth of available trivia proves how thoroughly fans absorbed every detail. Knowledge becomes a form of fandom expression. Fact 77, Forensic Props. The show's laboratory equipment was sourced from actual forensic suppliers to ensure complete authenticity. These realistic props added credibility to Dexter's day job as a blood spatter analyst. The attention to detail impresses both casual viewers and forensic professionals. Authentic props ground fictional worlds in believable reality. Sometimes the smallest details make the biggest difference. Fact 78, New Blood Redemption. The 2021 limited series specifically tackled fan criticisms of the original finale with a snowy small-town setting. Moving Dexter to rural New York created entirely new conflicts and character dynamics. The series provided some closure while setting up future storylines. This redemption attempt proves that creators sometimes get chances to fix their mistakes. Fan feedback can actually influence creative decisions. Fact 79, Cody and Harrison recast. Two of Rita's children were recast in later seasons due to the natural aging of child actors. This is a common television challenge requiring seamless transitions to maintain story continuity. Real-time aging often affects fictional families. The actor for Cody was replaced once, as were the twins that originally played Harrison. In order to age Harrison up appropriately for the last season, a new child actor who was slightly older and had more advanced motor skills was brought on to portray young Harrison. This is a common practice in the industry. There are some scenes where you don't even see Cody's face because that would reveal the truth of the recast. Few fans recognized that he was replaced because of this expert camera angling. However, he definitely seems different. Dexter is far from the first show to do something like this, but they arguably did it the best. It didn't detract from the viewing pleasure of the fans, and it didn't undermine the work that the previous child actors did, as they have all gotten credit and fair pay for their work. It is perhaps some of the best mid-series cast swapping ever seen. Fact 80, Hall's musical promo. Michael C. Hall once sang a playful version of the Dexter theme song for a Showtime promotional campaign. This rare, lighthearted moment showcased his Broadway musical theater background. The contrast between his singing and his dark character created an amusing promotional moment. Fans love seeing Hall's personality outside of his killer persona. Sometimes actors need to remind us they're human. Fact 81, The Band. Did you know that Michael C. Hall is in a band? Hall has a phenomenal voice and is a really good stage performer. The full name of the band was originally Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum, inspired by an idea from the drummer's daughter. However, it was eventually shortened to Princess Goes for marketing and pricing purposes. You can check them out on YouTube, and they also have done international tours to critical acclaim. There doesn't seem to be anything that Michael C. Hall cannot do. Fact 82. Global bans. Dexter was banned in countries like Malaysia for its violent content and moral complexity. The show's provocative edge triggered international censorship concerns. These restrictions highlight how different cultures view media violence and anti-hero narratives. The bans actually increased interest in regions where the show was available. Humans are ever curious, meaning that forbidden content often becomes more desirable as we long to look behind the curtain. Fact 83. Deb's discovery. Season 6 ends with Deb catching Dexter mid-kill in one of television's most shocking cliffhangers. This pivotal moment completely shatters their sibling bond and changes everything. Jennifer Carpenter's raw performance in this devastating scene is absolutely unforgettable. The discovery forces both characters to confront the truth they've been avoiding. Some secrets are too big to survive, but Deb's love for her brother prevails in the end. Deb will always choose Dexter, even to her own peril. Now leaves many people wondering what they would do if they discovered their sibling was as deranged as Dexter. Fact 84. Lindsay's other books' wild plots. Jeff Lindsay's later novels feature cannibals, voodoo, and supernatural elements, too outlandish for television adaptation. The books take increasingly bizarre turns that would never work on screen, but Dexter's realistic approach wisely avoided these more fantastical storylines. This restraint helped maintain the series' grounded psychological thriller tone. Sometimes less is definitely more, and the producers of Dexter struck the perfect balance. Fact 85. Bloodslide merch. Showtime actually sold replica Bloodslide keychains as official Dexter merchandise. Fans could literally own miniature versions of Dexter's murder trophies. These morbid collectibles became sought-after items among dedicated fans. The merchandise blurred the line between fiction and reality in fascinating ways. Only Dexter could make serial killer memorabilia so easily marketable. Fact 86. Lumen's Alliance. Season 5's Lumen Pierce, played by Julia Stiles, becomes Dexter's temporary killing partner in a unique revenge mission. She's one of the few characters who sees Dexter's full ritual and ultimately survives. Their partnership offers a rare glimpse of what acceptance might look like for Dexter after decades of feeling like an outcast. Lumen's departure represents a missed opportunity for genuine human connection, but it's Dexter's reaction to her decision to leave that adds compelling complexity to who and what he truly is. When Lumen says that she can't stay with him, Dexter almost cries. He throws a plate, he begs her not to go, but in the end he accepts her departure and goes on about his day as if he wasn't hurting. It was one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the series, knowing that Dexter has been waiting to connect with someone again and watching them reject him outright. Sometimes healing requires sharing our darkness, and sometimes it requires moving on. Fact 87. Comic expansion. Marvel published Dexter comics that explore side stories and additional murders not shown on television. These graphic novels expand the book's universe with extra kills and character development. The comics allow for more graphic content than cable television could ever show. They thrill fans seeking more Dexter content beyond the show's limits. Different mediums offer different storytelling possibilities, and this is definitely one of those cases. Fact 88. Zayas' authenticity. David Zayas' real NYPD experience shapes every aspect of Batista's believable police behavior and instincts. His authentic law enforcement background elevates the entire Miami Metro ensemble. Real-world insight makes fictional police work more convincing and grounded. Having actual cops in the cast adds legitimacy to procedural elements. Experience trumps acting in creating authentic characters. Fact 89. Tonight's the night. Dexter's chilling catchphrase has become a widespread internet meme used both humorously and ominously. The phrase transcends the show to become part of general pop culture vocabulary. Its virality on social media platforms shows the show's lasting cultural reach. Certain lines become bigger than their original context. Memorable quotes take on lives of their own. Fact 90. Safe props. Retractable knives and specially designed tools ensured actor safety during realistic kill scenes. The special effects team created convincing violence without any actual danger. This professional craftsmanship impresses fans exploring behind-the-scenes content. Safety protocols allow for believable violence without real harm. Movie magic makes the impossible look effortless, and the Dexter crew did that perfectly. Fact 91, Vogel's role. Season 8's Dr. Evelyn Vogel reveals she helped Harry craft the original code for young Dexter. Her maternal connection to Dexter's origin story ties together loose narrative threads. The character adds psychological depth to Dexter's backstory and moral framework. Some fans loved the added context, while others found it unnecessary. Prequels within sequels can enhance or complicate existing mythology, and Vogel's introduction certainly highlighted that separation in understanding and appreciation. Fact 92, Anti-hero influence. Dexter predated Breaking Bad and directly influenced the current anti-hero television boom. The show proved audiences would embrace morally complex protagonists who challenged traditional heroism. Its pioneering status inspired countless shows featuring morally ambiguous main characters. Without Dexter's success, television might look completely different today. Cultural influence extends far beyond individual episodes. Fact 93, softened Dexter. Early scripts portrayed Dexter as completely robotic, but Hall's input added crucial humanity to the character. The actor's suggestions made Dexter relatable without sacrificing his menacing nature. This collaborative approach ensured the show's emotional core could endure across multiple seasons. Character development requires balance between consistency and growth. Actor insight can improve even the best writing. Fact 94, Matthews' silent knowledge. Fan theory suggests that Captain Matthews was aware of Dexter's true nature, but chose silence over investigation to protect him. Evidence throughout the series supports this theory of willful ignorance. Matthews' behavior indicates he deliberately avoided pursuing certain leads. He even brought Dexter in to examine the blood slides found in Doak's car, and he discouraged Maria from pursuing Dexter as the BHB, even when she was clearly onto something. This unconfirmed speculation adds fascinating layers to seemingly simple interactions. Sometimes characters know more than they let on. Fact 95, fake blood recipe. The show's realistic blood effects used corn syrup, food coloring, and safe additives. These practical effects created convincing gore without expensive digital work. The recipe fascinates fans who want to recreate the show's visual style. Those simple ingredients can create a powerful visual impact with proper technique. Practical effects often look far more convincing than digital alternatives, and I will vote for practical effects over CGI any day, all day long. Fact 96, trauma's roots. Dexter's killing urges stem from witnessing his mother's chainsaw murder as a toddler. This defining childhood trauma explains his complete emotional disconnection and need for control. The origin story provides a psychological foundation for his adult behavior patterns. Understanding trauma helps explain seemingly inexplicable actions and motivations. Childhood experiences shape adult psychology in profound ways. Fact 97, episode count. The 96 episodes across 8 seasons lay the groundwork for a comprehensive exploration from the series. The extended episode count allows for deep character development and complex story arcs. This length enables the show to examine themes from multiple angles over time. Long-form storytelling permits nuanced character evolution, impossible in shorter formats. Some stories require time to fully develop, and Dexter is no exception. Fact 98, genre blend. Dexter uniquely combines crime procedural elements with psychological thriller perspectives from the killer's viewpoint. This hybrid approach distinguishes it from typical police shows or horror series. The killer's eye view creates unprecedented narrative possibilities and moral complexity. Genre blending can create entirely new storytelling categories when executed skillfully. Innovation comes from combining familiar elements in new ways. Fact 99, Lumen's survival. For so long, Lumen Pierce remained the only character to witness Dexter's complete killing ritual and initially walk away alive. Their shared trauma created a unique bond that transcends normal human relationships. Her survival and departure represent both hope and loss for Dexter's humanity. The missed connection resonates as one of the series' most poignant what-if moments. Some relationships are too dangerous to survive. Fact 100, Dexter game. A mobile game allows players to solve crimes while making Dexter's moral choices. The interactive experience extends the show's legacy into gaming platforms. Players can explore ethical decisions and consequences in Dexter's world. The 2025 game availability proves the franchise's continued relevance across media. Interactive storytelling offers new ways to engage with familiar characters. Fact 101. Dexter wouldn't approve. In Season 6, Dexter is met with the boyfriend of his son's nanny, Lewis Green. Lewis wanted to create a video game in which the player could perform as the serial killer, and given Dexter's background in forensics, he figured that Dexter would be able to give him some insight on developing the game. However, much to his surprise, Dexter was appalled by the game. He asks Lewis who would choose to be a serial killer. He says that he finds the game offensive, and that makes it all the more absurd that they would create a video game about Dexter, but that's exactly what they did. Fact 102. Fictional Metro. Miami Metro Homicide draws inspiration from real Florida police procedures despite being fictional. The department feels authentic because it's grounded in actual law enforcement practices. This realism contrasts effectively with Dexter's dark fantasy elements. Believable settings make unbelievable characters more acceptable to audiences. Reality anchors fiction in ways that matter. Fact 103. Kill room icon. Dexter's plastic-wrapped kill rooms have become an iconic horror trope symbolizing clinical brutality. The stark imagery appears across multiple media formats as a visual shorthand for methodical violence. These rooms represent the intersection of domesticity and death in disturbing ways. Iconic images transcend their original context to become cultural symbols. Visual impact creates lasting cultural memory. Fact 104. Harry's ghost. Dexter doesn't actually see his foster father when they speak. Instead, Harry's apparitions serve as Dexter's moral compass and visualize his internal ethical struggles. This narrative device makes abstract concepts concrete and accessible to viewers. The ghostly presence represents both guidance and judgment throughout the series. Supernatural elements can ground psychological concepts in visual storytelling. Internal conflict becomes external dialogue through creative techniques. Fact 105. Showtime's freedom. Cable network broadcasting made Dexter's graphic content impossible to show on traditional broadcast television. This creative liberty amplified the show's intensity and pushed boundaries others couldn't cross. The freedom to explore darker themes attracted viewers seeking more mature content. Platform restrictions can shape creative possibilities in fundamental ways. Artistic freedom requires the right distribution medium. Fact 106. New Blood's end. New Blood concludes with Harrison killing Dexter to break the cycle of violence. This ending provides closure while being undone by Resurrection's continuation. The father-son murder represents both justice and tragedy in complex ways. Definitive endings become temporary when the actors and viewers still want more. In this case, that closure was just another beginning. Fact 107. Lasting legacy. Despite finale criticism, Dexter remains a benchmark for crime dramas and anti-hero storytelling. The show influenced countless series, including Killing Eve, You, and many others. Its Netflix popularity and multiple spin-offs cement its enduring cultural impact. Quality storytelling transcends individual disappointing episodes or controversial endings. Dexter's cultural legacy survives temporary setbacks, continues inspiring new creativity, and leaving fans begging for more. Bonus, why we got more Dexter. The idea for the premise of Dexter Resurrection, that Dexter didn't actually die at the end of Dexter New Blood, came from Michael C. Hall himself. He suggested in casual conversation with the creative team that since the bullet didn't hit him in the head, what if his character survived? That twist provided the catalyst for Dexter Resurrection, where Dexter wakes from a 10-week coma, tries to find his son, and rebuild his life while grappling with his past. If you liked this video, Dexter Morgan is a genius serial killer, but nobody wants to be him. From everyone he loves dying to never truly being able to be himself. Dexter's life sucks, and I will go over every reason why, starting with one of the craziest. Imagine you were just born. You were brought home by your parents to a loving brother, and you have few worries beyond your next meal and where your mom is. As the years pass, your family grows close, as most do. You love your mother and she dotes on you whenever possible. She seems stressed sometimes and isn't always around, but that is the case for most mothers, right? As you age into a toddler, you become more and more attached to your mother, but you can't really remember why. You are still too young. One day, your father is taken away.
Freeze! Hands up against the wall. That's it.
And you aren't quite sure what took him away. One day he was there, and the next day he is not. It's almost impossible for you to understand why he is gone, and your mother doesn't explain much, if anything. And then even she is gone more and more, leaving you and your brother to be watched by the neighbor. You are confused and worried by the new changes to the routine of your family. Still, your mother continues to love you and your brother, so you feel some level of comfort and familiarity. Suddenly, she's bringing another man around, and you don't understand why. Regardless, he shows up time and time again, and one day your mother leaves him to look after you and your brother.
Mr. Morgan, we'll be here with you until I come home.
You start to trust him as well. Shortly thereafter, you start seeing him more and more. You begin to believe that he is your real dad, but it turns out he's just been using your mother, both professionally and privately. After a big fight between the two, your mother tells you that the man is not your dad, and you don't see him as frequently anymore. Another sudden detachment scarring you at a young age. Eventually, your mother's work with the police department endangers your entire family. Your father is still in jail, and then one day you, your brother, and your mother are abducted by the cartel she had been informing the police on. This is the beginning of the end. You are all transported to a shipping container in a nearby shipping yard. It's there that you witness the murder of your mother at the hands of the cartel. You are trapped in that shipping container for 3 days next to your mother's decaying body parts, as well as the bodies of a few other targets of the cartel. Finally, you are rescued by police, and you and your brother are placed in the care of the man from before. Suddenly one day, your brother isn't around anymore, but you can't quite understand the absence because you were only 3 years old. Eventually, the memories of him and your mother's fate fade completely, and you are fully integrated into your new family, the Morgans. You grow up never knowing that you have a long-lost brother, but the trauma of the situation exists just beneath the surface. After landing in what seems to be a healthy family unit, you begin to discover that you aren't like the other people around you. You begin experiencing dark urges, and you have no idea why. They all seem so happy and carefree. You, on the other hand, get no joy from the family outings and often long to be elsewhere.
It's great to see you having such a good time, Dex.
Are you kidding me? This hay's giving me a total allergy attack. We're just going around in circles on a pumpkin patch. I don't get it.
Your adoptive parents start to notice that something's off about you, but they lack any of the appropriate tools to help you. They argue about you, and sometimes you hear them. You start to worry that they don't want you anymore, but they remain actively involved in your life to the best of their ability. You just have to continue going through the motions, even as your adolescent angst builds and exacerbates the dark urges you'd been feeling since you were very young. Eventually, your adoptive father catches you taking those urges out on animals. You killed the neighbor's loud dog and buried it in the backyard.
I found the grave, son.
That dog was a noisy little creep, Dad.
He confronts you about the burial site, and though you try to downplay it, he knows that you have been hurting animals for a long time. He doesn't let you off the hook, and you are forced to face reality and speak truthfully about how you've been feeling. It's tense, and your father is taken aback, but he seems to be more understanding than you expected. He decides to help you channel your urges, rather than turn you over to the state for professional care. As years pass, your adoptive mother grows ill, and you watch her get weaker and weaker before she eventually passes away. With her loss, you no longer believe that anyone around you sees any good in you.
I miss someone looking at me and seeing a chance at goodness, even if it wasn't there.
You're left to identify with the darkness that you have almost always felt. Your adoptive father has been taking you hunting to help quell your urge to kill, but it's not always enough. On top of that, he is busy so often that it interrupts some of your outings, and that is not going to work for you. You need to kill. You continue to struggle through all of your teen years, trying to keep your murderous drive at bay, but you know you are going to break eventually. Luckily for you, your father made the decision to teach you a strict code. So far, it has been working for you. His code has many rules, but he teaches you the two most important rules were 1. Never get caught, and 2. Never hurt an innocent person. Those rules make sense to you and keep you from trouble most of the time. You attended college and excelled with flying colors. No one is surprised, as you were known to be the quiet, nerdy type all through high school. Your pre-med professors encourage you and let you know that you are one of the most gifted students they've ever had. You thought that cutting into cadavers would help curb your dark impulses to hurt others, but it's not nearly enough. You need to kill, and there is no way to avoid it any longer. Despite being taught Harry's code, you have no opportunity to use it. You have never been permitted by Harry to kill a human being yet, only animals. But that all changes when Harry himself fell ill. Your first kill comes in defense of your adoptive father's life after his nurse starts trying to kill him through slow intravenous poisoning.
She's killing you by overdose.
Another blow to your psyche. You have already lost so much. For one, you don't even know your biological family members, and on top of that, the only mother you have known has already passed away. Losing Harry would be too much to bear now. Why does it have to be your father's nurse? Still, you are ready to defend him by killing her. It's basically the opportunity you've been waiting for. The nurse is your first kill, but she is far from your last. You develop and hone your skills, and before long, you are a seasoned serial killer. You were once on track for medical school after you graduated undergrad, but that is not where you were drawn. Instead, you decide to work in the same field your father does, with the Miami Metro Homicide Department. The department becomes like a second home for you, and the proximity to law enforcement helps keep your public image up. Everyone believes that you are a normal person, and no one suspects that you are a deranged killer, except for one person. Years pass, and your estranged brother Brian has finally decided to reach out to you.
Anyone sitting here?
Yeah, I'm saving these seats for my friends.
Without you knowing it, he had been stalking you for years, desperate to connect with you. He knows you are a serial killer and still accepts you, and you don't even remember him. But unlike you, he has remembered everything, and he is intent on jogging your memory. He breaks into your house and leaves clues to his identity. You never know when the next clue will come, but you are sickly excited for it. You are taunted by him for weeks, but you don't yet know why. In truth, he is also a serial killer, but he has no code. He kills anyone he wants with no remorse, and he wants to start killing together.
We can take this journey together.
Alongside you. Once he finally gets you to remember your past and your mother's death, you are traumatized, but he is solely focused on killing with you. He sets up a kill room, and on the table he has strapped your foster sister, Deborah. She's your last remaining family member. I mean, Brian is there, and he is your blood brother, but you don't truly know him. Plus, he is insane. Deb has been there for you through everything. Your loyalties should be divided, but you know who you are. You can't kill Deb. You can't let anyone else kill her either. You hesitate, and your brother retaliates angrily.
You can't be a killer and a hero. It doesn't work that way!
You have to fight him off, and the police arrive shortly after. Knowing you are betraying your own flesh and blood, you point the police in the direction Brian ran. He won't be caught, you know that, otherwise he could expose you. But the mere fact that you gave the police the heads up shows where your loyalty lies. It's with your adoptive sister, Deb, and you know that you'll have to protect her from Brian in the future. You'll have to eliminate him to stop him from being a threat to her. Deb is brought to the hospital, and in just a day or two, she is to be released under your care. You know this will bring your brother back to you as he looks to kill Deb. You set the stage perfectly for him, and he shows up for his revenge just as you anticipated. It's then that you subdue him, and he soon wakes up prepared for slaughter by your hand. He understands his reality, but tries to talk you out of it. But you know he fits the code, and should you spare him, Deborah will never be safe.
The safety of my sister.
So you slit his throat and he bleeds out in front of you. For the first time in a while, you truly feel all alone again. As you begin to recover psychologically from having to kill your own brother, it's revealed that the underwater burial ground you used to dump your victims' bodies has been discovered by divers.
What appears to be an underwater graveyard in a crevice off the coast of Miami.
You just can't seem to catch a break. Finally, you find yourself living in the aftermath of your decisions, and your kills have started to draw attention. The Bay Harbor Butcher, the name the media gives to the killer, is officially being investigated by police, including one moody and determined Detective James Dokes. Dokes is incredibly suspicious of you. Suddenly, you're struggling with the dilemma of your secret life as a vigilante serial killer being discovered and the threat that poses to your facade facade as a caring brother and a hardworking blood spatter analyst for the Miami Metro Police Department. As the investigation into the Bay Harbor Butcher intensifies, you are constantly looking over your shoulder, trying to avoid detection. Your fear increases when the FBI starts getting involved in the case. You can't tell anyone what you're going through, and your isolation only grows as you worry about being found out. Your romantic life is also under strain. Rita, your girlfriend, is unaware of your secret life, but her past trauma and the challenges of raising her children while trying to make the relationship work create tension. You struggle with your feelings for her and the constant pull of your dark passenger. You long to find someone you can be completely honest with, but you do care for Rita and her 2 children deeply. Though she doesn't know exactly what is up with you, Rita confronts you about your shady behavior one day, and you are forced to lean into a lie that you are a drug addict.
Are you an addict?
Yes, I have an addiction.
She insists you start Narcotics Anonymous, and there you meet Lila, a woman who would become dangerously obsessed with you, threaten your relationship with Rita, and try to kill her children. You are finally exposed to Dokes to be the Bay Harbor Butcher.
You're the Bay Harbor Butcher.
But in the end, you're able to avoid being caught. Lila blows Dokes to smithereens once she realizes that he is threatening you. This solves one problem for you. However, you also realize that you can't hide your secret forever. You finally overcome the threat of Dokes and the FBI. You want to refocus on your life with your partner, Rita, while also maintaining your kill ritual, and things never seem to slow down. As soon as you are getting back into the swing of things, you kill the wrong target, perhaps due to a failed stalking. You didn't anticipate someone else being at the home of your next target, but when you arrive, there they are. The strange man attacks you, and in defense of yourself, your knife ends up in their chest.
I went to kill Freebo and ended up killing a total stranger.
You don't know it yet, but that kill would bring an entire new set of problems. Turns out that you killed the brother of the ADA, Assistant District Attorney of Miami.
It's Miguel Prado. He's at ADA. He's been on a mission to put away as many bad guys as he can.
As if that isn't bad enough, they also have a third brother who has a bad temper and a lot of connections. They aren't going to let this go. Now you have to race to find the person they believed killed him, your original target, before the homicide department finds him and he denies the murder, maybe even identifies you as another party present that night. Luckily, you work the scene and are able to remove or hide any evidence that would implicate you. Now it's yet another race against Miami Metro's homicide department, this time to find Freebo, the killer you were trying to frame for Oscar Prado's death. Fortunately, you are a skilled stalker. You find him first and take him out, but you aren't out of the woods yet. Oscar's brother, Miguel, bent on avenging his brother, has also tracked Freebo to your exact location and arrives just as you finish your ritual. You hear him coming and walk outside to stop him from discovering your kill room. You claim self-defense and hope he buys it.
It was self-defense.
If he doesn't, you most likely have to kill him as well. He not only buys it, but is grateful for your intervention.
I wasn't sure that I could do this, but you did.
He hugs you and thanks you for killing whom he believes to be responsible for his brother's murder. You cleared up one mess, but after that encounter, Miguel insists on becoming close friends with you. You are used to being more of a lone wolf. If anyone got too close to you, they could learn your secret, breaking the code. But it seems Miguel is smarter than most. After you expertly get rid of Freebo's body, he is tipped off to the idea that you may be a trained murderer. He won't let you get too far from him. He wants to follow in your footsteps, killing under the guise of serving justice to murderers who slip through the cracks of the legal system. He already knows too much, and deep down, he won't take no for an answer. And you wouldn't mind having a friend who knew the real you. Eventually, you cave to his advances and you start to open up about your past, cautiously. You begin to teach your new friend the code you were taught, the most important lesson being never hurt an innocent. But he goes rogue. Tossing your code to the wayside, he begins to kill without a care, starting with a woman he saw as professional competition. There it goes. Your first real friendship washed down the drain in an instant. After having to kill your own biological brother and the first woman you thought could ever truly see and accept you, you are now forced to kill your first close friend. After killing Miguel, you find yourself at a new crossroads in life. You're now married to Rita, and you've become a father figure to her 2 kids, along with your shared son, Harrison. Your life appears normal on the outside, but underneath, your dark passenger is still very much alive, and you're struggling to balance your family life with your need to kill. The biggest threat to your feigned peaceful existence comes in the form of a new, highly dangerous adversary, Arthur Mitchell, also known as the Trinity Killer.
Son of a bitch. I call him the Trinity Killer.
He is a killer and a family man, just like you, but his dark side is far more monstrous. You begin to investigate him, and the more you learn, the more you realize that Arthur is way more unpredictable and deranged than any other killer you've encountered. He kills in a specific pattern, with each murder representing a different aspect of a perfect family life that he seeks to destroy. Not quite the family man you would come to idolize. As you get closer to Arthur, your obsession with him grows, and you become increasingly reckless in your pursuit. You start to push boundaries that you've never crossed before, even going so far as to save his life when he tries to kill himself one day.
No, you're mine. This isn't how you die.
This act would come back to bite you in the cruelest way. In a devastating twist, you are finally able to confront Arthur.
I should have killed you when I had the chance.
In doing so, however, you fail to protect your own family. Before you manage to take Arthur out, he is able to discover your true identity and goes on to kill your wife, Rita, in his signature brutal fashion. You return home to find her lifeless body in the bathtub, and your son Harrison sitting in a pool of her blood on the bathroom floor. This leaves you utterly shattered, knowing that it is your fault that Rita is dead. Had you killed Trinity when you first had the chance, or even just allowed him to kill himself when he attempted suicide, Rita would still be alive. Once again, you are all alone, but now you are left to deal with the fallout of your own wife's murder and the traumatization of your young son. You can take solace in knowing that the Trinity Killer's reign of terror is over, but it's of little comfort. You know that your life will never be the same, and you're the one to blame. Yet again, you have finally started to move on with life after losing Rita. You are struggling with grief and attempting to balance your dark urges while also being a single parent to your son, Harrison. But a new issue arises. As always, you are trying to make sense of your new reality, haunted by the loss of your wife, and figuring out ways to protect Harrison from the dangers that come with living with you and your dark passenger when everything comes to a head. You've found a new target in killer Boyd Fowler, but when you finally take him down, there is a witness. She was supposed to be Boyd's next victim before you killed him. She is an innocent person, but she has seen you murder a man as well. The first rule of Harry's code could be broken if you let her live.
First rule of the code, Dexter. Don't get caught.
But the second rule would be broken if you take her out. Just as you were trying to recreate a sense of normalcy for yourself and get back into your ritual, you encounter this new conundrum. But Lumen Pierce is just the latest woman to be assaulted and tortured by a group of horrible men, the Barrel Girls gang, including the one she just watched you kill. Without your intervention, she'd have been murdered. After gaining her trust, Lumen becomes your partner in a sense. You bond over your shared trauma and a desire to take down the men responsible for her abduction. You decide to help her get revenge on the men who hurt her, all while trying to maintain Harry's strict code. At the same time, you are also trying to manage your relationship with Deb, who is struggling with her own emotional turmoil after a man is nearly killed on your watch at work.
Clear?
Yes, clear.
On top of that, you need a nanny for your motherless son, and you're dealing with the complicated dynamic you have with your coworker Quinn back at Miami Metro, who is actively trying to frame you as a killer.
Do you recognize this man?
You're truly battling in every area of your life, and nothing is getting easier. Ultimately, you are left to try to find a balance between the monster inside of you and being the father and brother you feel Harrison and Deborah deserve. You successfully take down the Barrel Girls gang with Lumen and are excited to finally move on. You see her as a potential long-term partner, but she isn't on the same page.
I have to leave.
She only wanted revenge, and after killing her abductors, she no longer feels the need to kill like you do.
I don't feel it anymore.
Realizing that the dark passenger is something you can never fully escape, you are forced to let her go and grapple with the loss of yet another close connection. After losing Lumen, you get back into your routine. Welcome back. And even find an unlikely friend in a local pastor known as Brother Sam. But soon you are faced with a new threat. A pair of killers, Travis Marshall, a former theology student, and his mentor, Professor Geller, seem to be terrorizing the Miami metro area. Motivated by their religion, the two have been implicated in a series of ritualistic murders inspired by the biblical apocalypse. Travis and Geller seem to see themselves as the final instruments for God's divine plan and judgment. You are intent on stopping them after realizing they're targeting innocent people, but you are constantly bested as they are always able to stay one step ahead of the police department and even you. In addition to that, your new friend Brother Sam has been murdered by a church member.
But in my experience, darkness usually prevails.
The two of you had grown close. He made you think about your choice to kill and what your future could possibly hold for you. He challenged your sense of morality and made you face the concept of salvation. He was the first person since your adoptive mother to see any light in you, and now he's gone. You just can't seem to keep a friend.
I also see a light.
When you finally track down Travis, he convinces you that he is not the mastermind behind the killings. His former professor, Dr. Geller, is. You believe him and spare his life. This turns out to be a major mistake on your part. Eventually, you discover that Travis is mentally ill.
He thinks Geller is still alive, talking to someone who isn't there.
And he is a lone killer. You are finally able to stop him, but only after he manages to kidnap your son. He takes Harrison in a plan to sacrifice your son in his final ritual. You manage to get your son back and take Travis down, but soon there is a new problem. Deb walks in on you killing him. Your secret is revealed again, but this time to the last person you would want to know it, your own sister. What do you do now? You've always cared for Deb and protected her at all costs, but if she knows you are a killer, all of that will change. She may even turn you in. You can't kill her.
I will not kill my sister. I will not kill my sister. I will not kill my sister.
You can't make her forget. So you lie. You have been lying and manipulating your entire life. You have always been able to win over Deb, but this time it doesn't quite work. You were able to avoid being arrested and even get her to help you stage the crime scene, but she doesn't let it go. She tears your apartment apart and finds out that you are the Bay Harbor Butcher.
Did you kill all these people?
You finally fess up, tarnishing any trust the two of you had. She will never look at you the same, and you know that. You fight hard to make the familial bond stick, but it's hopeless. You've lost yet another connection, and perhaps the most important one of all this time. She's struggling with what you are, and you don't know how to fix it. In addition to losing Deborah's trust, things become more complicated when you meet Hannah McKay, a woman with her own dark past. She's a killer, just like you, but there's something about her that makes you feel seen. Still, you can't let yourself get too close, as letting her in could expose everything you've worked so hard to keep hidden. You plan to kill her, but can't bring yourself to take her life. And as much as you try to distance yourself, even after the attempted kill, the two of you only grow closer. On top of everything, LaGuerta is on your trail. She's obsessed with the idea that you're the Bay Harbor Butcher, and she's getting dangerously close to uncovering your secret. You know you can't let that happen. If she connects the dots and convinces others of your guilt, you're done. With the pressure mounting, every move you make only seems to speed up your downfall. The world you created is crashing around you, and that is only heightened by Deborah's. Her lack of faith in you is not helping matters. You've dragged her into your messy life by having her help you stage Travis Marshall's crime scene.
What were you doing there, Lieutenant?
Now she is an accomplice, and LaGuerta will bring her in right along with you. You could ruin her entire life. Eventually, LaGuerta makes her final move, and she's sure it will expose you as the Bay Harbor Butcher. The need to protect Deb and keep Harry's code to the best of your ability traps you in a corner. That's when you make the hardest choice of your life. You choose to kill Maria LaGuerta, an innocent. It's not something you wanted to do, but it's the only way to keep your secrets safe. It's a decision that has monumental consequences, and you feel them immediately when Deborah witnesses you preparing to kill LaGuerta. To save you, Deborah chooses to kill Maria just as she is waking up. You know you've pushed your sister away for good, and now you're facing the reality that she may never speak to you again. You've lost control in the relationship you cherished the most and have always tried to protect. Your life is unraveling, and your connection to Hannah, a known killer whom Deborah hates, is only complicating everything. You've forced your sister to make an impossible choice and compromise everything she is. You've lost yet another friend and almost been found out yet again. You're walking a tightrope, and you know it's only a matter of time before everything falls apart. Still, the darkness inside of you is growing, and it's destroying everyone and everything you care about. Everything feels like it's coming to an awful end. You're grappling with the fallout from LaGuerta's murder, the pain of losing Deborah, and the ongoing pressure of living a double life as a killer. How much longer can you do this? You find yourself facing a new dangerous threat in Dr. Vogel.
As you can see, we have a guest. This is Dr. Evelyn Vogel,
a neuropsychiatrist working with the homicide department to find a new killer. She seems to know too much about you and your dark passenger. She claims to be someone who can help you understand your urges. She claims to know your father Harry, and even claims to have helped him develop the code you live by.
You can't kill me.
Why?
Because I don't fit Harry's code.
But you're never sure if you can really trust her. Vogel's got her own agenda, and naturally it piques your suspicion. As you try to navigate your complex relationship with Vogel, you are also trying to protect Harrison and find some kind of stability for him. But your life is far from normal, so how can he possibly have stability within it? You wonder if you are any good for him after how you've hurt other people you cared for. After everything that's happened, Deborah is more lost than ever before. She seems to hate you now.
And I hate you for it.
Her emotions are all over the place. She's struggling with guilt, trauma, and her own choices, and she won't even speak to you.
Deb, you haven't talked to me in weeks.
The bond you once shared with her is effectively over. You face a new enemy, Oliver Saxon, aka the Brain Surgeon. He is a killer, but with incredibly dark motivations. His actions and motivations force you to confront your own murderous nature in ways that you have been avoiding for your entire life. Additionally, as you track down the deranged killer, you learn that he is Dr. Vogel's biological son. Armed with that information, she begs you to spare him. You've come to trust Dr. Vogel, but you also want to give in to your urges and adhere to your code. Saxon is a dangerous killer, and you know you should take him out. But before you can make a decision, he kills Vogel and escapes.
Don't touch her.
Mother chose the wrong son. Again.
You know, now more than ever, that you can't continue to let him live. As with your previous victims, you were able to track Saxon down and subdue him, but unlike your other victims, you decide to let the homicide department apprehend him. You call your sister to bring him in, but he is able to escape his trappings and shoots Deb, critically injuring her. At first it looks like she will recover, but she suffers a stroke while she is in the hospital and is rendered effectively brain dead. You and Deborah never fully recovered after she found out that you were the Bay Harbor butcher. Now a doctor is telling you that she will never speak again. Your only sibling is gone, and it feels like it's all your fault. Everyone you have ever loved has been killed or hurt due to your need to kill. You have to face facts that you're no good for anyone in your orbit. You're forced to deal with the consequences of your actions as a murderer, what you've done to your family, and the fact that your dark passenger has only made you destroy the people you love. Your last remaining blood relative and only son, Harrison, will surely be next if you stay around him, so you make the ultimate sacrifice. You were planning to run away with your girlfriend Hannah along with Harrison, but now you know that you can't do that. You steal your sister's body from the hospital as a hurricane is headed toward Miami. You dump Deb's body in the ocean and call your son one last time.
I want you to remember that every single day until I see you again. Daddy loves you.
Before you drive your boat into the oncoming hurricane. Miraculously, you survive, but you have effectively ended your life as Dexter Morgan. You moved to Oregon to start a new life, and though you manage to stay alive, you feel more dead inside than ever before. It's a tragic end to a complicated journey, but deep down, you always knew you would end up alone. You spent your entire life trying to balance the monster you are with the man you want to be, but in the end, you realize the cost is too high. You walk away from it all, leaving behind a trail of death and destruction in your wake. And just like that, Dexter Morgan is a ghost. Eventually, you move on from Morgan. You are now living under the alias James Jim Lindsay in a small New York town named Iron Lake. It's been nearly a decade since your supposed death in Miami, leaving behind your life as a father, blood spatter analyst, and a vigilante serial killer. You've tried to suppress your uncontrollable urge to kill and live a quiet life working as a store clerk at the local fish and game shop. But everything changes when you get pulled back into your old ways. The peaceful facade cracks when you learn that a local resident, Matt Caldwell, committed a hit-and-run accident using a boat, killing 5 people.
The part where 5 people died because of you. All right.
Worse, he got away with it without so much as a slap on the wrist. Matt is an arrogant loudmouth and incredibly disrespectful. You do your best to avoid him, but after you are forced to sell him an expensive rifle, he uses it to kill a majestic white deer whom you'd grown quite close to after all these years. You snap and kill him, breaking your nearly decade-long streak of abstaining from killing. Things get complicated when Angela Bishop, the local police chief and your girlfriend, begins doggedly investigating Matt's disappearance at the behest of his very influential father. Slowly but surely, she begins to get closer to discovering your secret. Once your long-lost son comes into town looking for you,
Are you Dexter Morgan?
her trust in you is broken, and your relationship becomes more and more estranged. She starts to keep you at arm's length while maintaining a casual facade to avoid letting you onto her suspicions. You are so distracted by tracking local serial killer Kurt Caldwell and the reemergence of your son Harrison that you don't even realize she's onto you. You manage to kill Kurt, but that isn't until after he tries to kill your son and burns your home down. As you are reeling from that, Angela is on the brink of figuring you out. Before you realize it, she has you on your knees with a gun pointed to the back of your head and you are being arrested.
What could she possibly know?
Scarred by your abandonment and the death of both his mother and adoptive mother, Harrison has grown up somewhat troubled and harboring his own darkness. The reunion stirs up old feelings and comes to a head when you realize that Harrison has inherited some of your darker traits. When Angela places you under arrest, your murderous past finally catches up with you, and you're forced to make a final choice to protect Harrison from your own darkness.
Don't be a hero, Logan. I just need to get out and see my son.
You escape prison and try to make a run for it with your son, but it's no use after he sees you for what you really are, a monster. You instruct him to take his rifle and kill you. Knowing he will never be safe with you, you tell him exactly where to shoot, gesturing to your heart. He pulls the trigger and you fall to the ground, telling him that he did a good job. You are bleeding out, finally released from your life of torment.
You did good.
When Angela arrives on the scene, just as your life is slipping away, she calls an ambulance and they are able to resuscitate you. Against all odds, your life of pain and longing is going to continue. You can't escape the torture of being Dexter Morgan. There is truly no rest for the wicked. Try as he might, Dexter Morgan's life never gets any easier, and even when he tries to end his suffering through death, his heart beats on. There is no doubt that the next chapter of his life will be as tumultuous as all the others. Being Dexter Morgan truly sucks. As a trained serial killer, Dexter Morgan had several victims that he outmaneuvered with ease. But every season came with a villain that gave him a run for his money, so let's examine every major villain Dexter faced throughout the years, starting with one of the most well-known, Brian Moser. Brian Moser had a close connection with Dexter. He was Dexter's biological brother, and they had both been present when their mother, Laura Moser, was killed and chopped into pieces by a bloodthirsty cartel that was operating in Miami at the time. They both experienced dark urges as a result of that tragedy. However, Brian and Dexter would go on to have very different upbringings. After a series of violent outbursts, Brian was separated from Dexter, who was adopted by Harry Morgan. Harry was the cop who was partially responsible for Laura's death. She was his criminal informant, and he had an affair with her and put her in harm's way for the benefit of his own case. But Brian was sent away to find another home after he tried to kill a young baby Deb for being too noisy.
Shut up.
Horrified and convinced they were out of their depth in caring for Brian, Harry and his wife Doris decided that they couldn't adopt him. Brian was tormented by the separation from Dexter and would develop a deep obsession with reuniting with his brother, and also sought revenge on the people who kept them apart as children. Starting with his therapist, Brian began a killing spree, targeting his old medical providers as well as the children who bullied him in the foster homes he was sent to. Because of the lower social status of the first victims found in this case, the murders were said to have no humans involved, earning the perpetrator the moniker of the NHI killer. But no one knew it was Brian for a while. Eventually, his almost foster father, Harry, discovered the link between Brian and the victims, but he kept it to himself to protect Dexter from having his traumatic history exposed. Eventually, Harry did try to bring Brian in, but he was overpowered by the killer when they came face to face, and Brian was able to escape. He was very adamant that he would not go to jail, but he did decide to abandon his pursuit of meeting Dexter. Brian realized that his long-lost brother would have a happier life if it continued uninterrupted. Unfortunately, following Harry's death, Brian would renege on his agreement to leave Dexter alone. He began hunting prostitutes, cutting them into pieces, and leaving them around Miami in places from Dexter's childhood. Desperate to refresh his brother's memory of their past, Brian broke into Dexter's apartment, left him clues, and went through his photos to discover information about their time apart as children. He stalked Dexter with extreme precision and even dated his sister Deb just so he could get closer to him without revealing his true identity outright. Brian had begun going under a false name, Rudy Cooper, most likely to prevent anyone from connecting him to the NHI kills he got away with so long ago. As Rudy during his courtship with Deborah, Brian made her fall in love and eventually faked an engagement to kidnap her.
I love you.
He brought her back to a kill room that he made especially for Dexter. He wanted Dexter to kill his foster sister to rebuff what he saw as a fake family. He wanted his brother all to himself, it would seem, but Dexter truly cared for Deb, so even after Brian was able to jog his memory and had Deb all prepared on the kill table to die, Dexter couldn't do it. He fought Brian off, saved Deb with the help of Miami Metro, and tricked Brian into breaking into his house where he predicted his brother would try to kill Deborah one last time. And that would be Brian's undoing. The resentment he felt towards Dexter's foster family led him to try to kill Deb, and Dexter couldn't let that happen. He strapped his older brother to a table and slit his throat, thus ending the demented tale of Brian Biney Moser. Perhaps Dexter thought he could get back to his old practiced life after closing that chapter, but his troubles only increased when Sergeant Dokes started tailing him next. Dexter's relationship with Lila West was intense, manipulative, and ultimately deadly. At the start of season 2, Dexter had already painted himself into a corner.
You give me a fucking creeps, you know that, Dexter?
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that.
He was being borderline stalked by Dokes, but he needed to get back to his ritual, something made impossible under Dokes' watchful eye. On top of that, he was having trouble at home. After his girlfriend Rita confronted him about getting her ex-husband sent back to jail by shooting him up with heroin, Dexter was forced to think on his feet. He lied about how he got the drugs, but she accused him of being an addict, and he went along with it to cover up the much worse truth that he was actually the Bay Harbor Butcher. Rather than be furious and run from Dexter, Rita inexplicably insisted that they would get him help. She only demanded that he started attending Narcotics Anonymous meetings regularly to get clean. In those NA meetings, Dexter met Lila, and she was assigned to be his sponsor while he was in the program. Lila quickly became a sort of confidant for Dexter, someone he felt understood his darkness, although she didn't know what he was actually addicted to just yet. Lila was a wild, impulsive, and highly manipulative addict. Although she was in recovery, she had the same addictive personality as ever, but rather than meth, she was now addicted to Dexter. She encouraged Dexter to embrace his dark urges rather than control them, which temporarily made him feel seen and more liberated than ever before. But as Lila became increasingly obsessed with him, Dexter felt the need to distance himself. When he tried to end things with her officially, Lila resorted to more and more dangerous behavior. She burned down her own apartment, broke into Rita's house, and even had Dexter attacked by Jimenez, one of the men who killed his mother. All of this just to keep him in her life. She interfered with Dexter's relationship with Rita and refused to leave him alone. Lila would show up at his job and even try to fake a physical assault allegation against Angel to threaten Dexter into staying with her.
The doctors think Angel raped you.
But Dexter is not easily intimidated. He threatened Lila's life and urged her to stay away from him, Angel, Rita, and the kids, and went on with his life as if she didn't exist. Lila wouldn't take that lying down. She broke into Dexter's car one day and stole his GPS system to figure out where he had been going. She tracked his location to the woods where Dexter had recently trapped Sergeant Dokes in a cage. Dokes was on to Dexter. He thought for a moment that all Dexter was hiding was being an NA, but when he spoke with Deborah about it, he realized that being an NA was just another lie. He and Dexter got into a heated altercation at work, which Dexter orchestrated to make Dokes look crazy. Dokes was immediately suspended, but that just gave him even more time to stalk Dexter. In his hunt, he tracked Dexter down to the cabin in the woods where Dexter had just killed Jimenez. As Dexter loaded the bags of his latest victim onto his boat, Dokes confronted him, gun drawn, and demanded that he turn himself in. Dexter was never going to do that, and he outmaneuvered Dokes only to lock him in a cage in Jimenez's cabin while he tried to figure out what to do next. He decided that he couldn't kill Dokes because it was outside of Harry's code. Instead, he decided to frame Dokes as the Bay Harbor Butcher, getting him off the hook and Dokes off his back. But it turned out he would never have the chance to frame Dokes at all. After using the stolen GPS, Lila broke into the cabin and discovered Dokes in the cage. He told her that Dexter was the butcher and begged her for help.
Why would he do that? Put you in the...
Because I found out that he's a Bay Harbor Butcher. Please just open this gate.
But Lila was still obsessed with Dexter and she didn't want him to go to jail. So she returned to her old arsonist ways. She turned on the stove and then the gas with Dokes still trapped in the cabin. He was blown to bits in less than a minute as he struggled to get out. He probably died almost instantly. She hoped that this would bring Dexter back to her in gratitude if he ever found out, but that wouldn't be possible. Deborah had set immigration after Lila and knew her true identity. She knew that Lila was in Miami on an expired visa and used that fact to run her out of town. After Lila killed Dokes to protect Dexter, Dexter realized she's an uncontrollable and extremely dangerous liability to himself and everyone around him. He eventually tracked Lila down in Paris, where he killed her for what she had done to Dokes and for kidnapping Rita's children. He stabbed her swiftly in the chest, finally ending her toxic influence in his life. Lila represented a seductive but destructive force. She was someone who claimed to accept Dexter fully, but in the end she just threatened everything he cared about to benefit herself. Her behavior, most importantly killing Dokes, served as a cautionary tale for what Dexter could end up as if he didn't abide by his code. Without it, he would be a selfish, more manipulative murderer who would kill without rhyme or reason, hurting dozens of innocent people in the process. With Dokes no longer a threat, Dexter went back to his old ritual, hunting, vetting, and then killing murderers of the innocent. As the season kicked off, Dexter already had someone in mind in his sights.
Time to get the lay of the land on Freebo and his pink house.
He was hunting a local drug dealer who went by the name of Freebo. He knew that Freebo had gotten away with the murder of 2 co-ed students, and he wasn't interested in letting him do it again. He found Freebo's house and pretended to be a junkie to gather more intel about the would-be serial killer. He found the information he needed, but when he returned to Freebo's house to subdue him, Freebo already had company. Oscar Prado, a man yet to be known to Dexter, was there fighting with Freebo, and it turned ugly fast. When Freebo and Oscar saw Dexter, Freebo ran while Oscar attacked Dexter. Dexter grabbed a knife and killed Oscar where he stood, all without ever knowing the gravity of his actions. As it turned out, Oscar was the baby brother of Miami's assistant district attorney, Miguel Prado. Miguel Prado acted as the ADA for the city, and he was on the scene right alongside the homicide department when the murder was reported the next morning. He was very invested in solving his brother's murder case. Despite being deeply emotionally affected by the death, he worked closely with Dexter, who was highly interested in pinning the murder on Freebo, to get to the bottom of the murder as soon as possible. After he and his other family members grew annoyed with how long it was taking Miami Metro Homicide Department to find Freebo, Miguel tried to take matters into his own hands. He tracked Freebo down on his own and went into the apartment he was hiding in with a loaded gun. He planned to kill Freebo. What he didn't know yet was that Dexter already killed the man. Dexter had dragged Freebo out to a shed on the property, wrapped him in plastic, and stabbed him, all after confronting him about his innocent victims. Just as he finished up the kill, Dexter heard a gate open and slam shut. He went out and realized that Miguel was there. Miguel was surprised to see Dexter, especially with bloody hands and wielding a knife.
Dexter! Is that you?
Dexter lied and claimed that he killed Freebo in self-defense. Miguel was eternally grateful and felt his brother had been avenged finally. From then, he would not allow Dexter to shake him. Dexter doesn't usually make connections with other people, and he didn't want to start one with Miguel. After all, he was a serial killer. Miguel was the district attorney, and Dexter had killed his brother. But Miguel never let Dexter get too far out of his sight. He eventually deduced that Dexter had killed before, figured out why he killed, and decided he wanted to do the same. He made it seem that he would also only kill extrajudicially when criminals slipped through the cracks, but that was far from the truth. Miguel started his killing of innocents with his work rival, Ellen Wolf. She was an opposing attorney and someone who Miguel thought helped murderers go free. More importantly though, she had embarrassed him in court a number of times, and he wanted her gone.
He just sent an innocent man to prison for 20 years. Ugh. He should be ashamed of himself.
So he killed her one night and disposed of her body in the manner that Dexter taught him to. He buried her beneath an existing grave in a cemetery where people would be less likely to be surprised by seeing a dead body. But Dexter put it all together before the grave could be filled and called it in. Ellen's body was discovered not too long after she'd gone missing, and Dexter revealed to Miguel that if he was going to kill innocent people, he was going to be taken down. But Miguel didn't think he needed to answer to the law, Dexter, or anyone else.
He thinks he's untouchable. He's not. It's time he learned that.
He decided to target another innocent, Lieutenant Maria LaGuerta, as she became increasingly close to discovering that he killed Ellen. Not only that, but Dexter thought to test the evidence from the night Freebo was killed and discovered that Miguel had tricked him into believing they had a mutually assured destruction in the form of Freebo's blood being on his shirt. But it wasn't Freebo's blood at all. It was Cal's blood. When he figured that out and learned that Miguel was targeting Maria, Dexter knew he had to put Miguel down. He was able to get Miguel on his table, and the rest was history. He strangled his only friend and left him in a field for the police to find. The conclusion to their journey together underscored the idea that Dexter had to be alone. Although he craved to be understood by another person, it never worked out. Every time he got close to someone, innocent people got hurt. A fact that couldn't be any more clear than after this encounter with Arthur Mitchell. Dexter Morgan's relationship with Arthur Mitchell began with genuine intrigue and admiration, but it all quickly spiraled into madness and horror. Dexter first learned about Arthur from work. He found out that Arthur was a man dubbed the Trinity Killer by Special Agent Frank Lundy. He earned that name due to his ritualistic cycle of murdering in sets of 3. Though initially only stalking Arthur as his next kill, Dexter became captivated by how Arthur appeared to live a perfect double life. He seemed to be a loving husband, devoted father, active churchgoer, and successful community member, all while maintaining a decades-long killing spree that no one besides Lundy seemed to be able to identify. Dexter saw Arthur as a potential role model for how he might one day balance his own dark urges with family life.
And I have so much to learn.
Especially as he was on the brink of becoming a new father himself. Posing as a man named Kyle Butler, Dexter chose to insert himself into Arthur's life. He hoped to learn from Arthur, and even though he still wanted him for his table, he put his urges aside to see what he could gain from watching Arthur closely. However, the deeper Dexter went, the more he uncovered the terrifying truth that Arthur was a violent man who emotionally and physically abused his family, killed with increasing instability, but successfully hid behind a false mask of righteousness all the same. The Thanksgiving dinner scene is the pivotal moment that exposes this dark reality behind Arthur Mitchell's seemingly perfect little family facade. Still masquerading as Kyle Butler, Dexter attended the Mitchell family's Thanksgiving dinner. He was still hoping to observe how Arthur did it all, but also wanted to act as a buffer between the madman and his vulnerable son, Jonah. Jonah was terrified of his father, and that fear is what first tipped Dexter off to the idea that Arthur may not have been balancing everything so well after all. As expected, the evening quickly devolved into chaos as Arthur lost his temper, cursed at his wife, trapped his daughter in her room, and broke his son's finger in a quiet rage. At last, the abusive dynamics within the household were uncovered. Tension escalated when Arthur insisted that each of his family members express gratitude for him.
Did you say you were thankful for me, Jonah?
What's that?
I did not say I was thankful for you.
Jonah finally retaliated in a rage of his own and smashed his father's awards along with the urn that held the ashes of Arthur's sister Vera. Arthur attacked Jonah, and when Dexter intervened, he nearly killed him in the process. Dexter dragged Arthur into the kitchen by a belt around his neck and grabbed a knife before he was stopped by Arthur's wife and daughter. They were so thoroughly manipulated by their patriarch that they actually threw themselves on top of him to stop Dexter from killing a man who had been beating and insulting them for years. Nothing about this was what Dexter wanted for his new family with Rita. He fled the house, frustrated and disgusted by his own ignorance. Arthur was no one's role model, and Dexter missed all of the signs. This dinner was a turning point for Dexter. It shattered his illusion of him as a mentor and highlighted the dangers of compartmentalizing his own dark urges.
Arthur's terrorized them into maintaining his cover. They're nothing but human shields.
Dexter began to realize that he really was nothing like the Trinity Killer and sought from that point forward only to kill him as he had originally planned. Unlike Dexter, who followed a strict moral code of only killing other killers, Arthur murdered innocent people, including children, a fact that Dexter discovered after watching him kidnap a boy from a local arcade. Ultimately, Arthur became one of Dexter's most personal and dangerous adversaries. Their feud ended when Arthur, before being killed by Dexter, murdered Dexter's wife Rita and left their infant son, Harrison, in a pool of blood on the bathroom floor. This very closely mirrored how Dexter was found as a child in the shipping yard when his mother was killed. The final defensive act from the Trinity Killer devastated Dexter and solidified that Arthur was the most personally destructive force Dexter had encountered at the time. It also served as yet another reminder that if Dexter tried to get close to people, they would inevitably face harsh and many times irreversible consequences. The Trinity Killer represented the idea that Dexter would never be able to be happy. At some point, he would have to embrace being alone. Unlike most seasons, the 5th season of Dexter doesn't begin with him hunting a new victim. In this installment, he was still reeling from the death of his wife Rita at the hands of the Trinity Killer, but having already killed Trinity, there was no way to get retribution for his wife's murder. He had to move on. The major villain in this season was Jordan Chase, a manipulative self-help guru whose real identity was far more sinister than his equally intimidating public persona. Charismatic and influential, Jordan presented himself as a life coach who promoted self-empowerment through a shallow mantra, "Take it." But behind this facade, he was the ringleader of a brutal group of men who were guilty of the abduction, rape, torture, and murder of several women. Though he never actually committed the acts of violence himself,
it's profoundly distasteful. Never had to do anything before. Now I have no choice. I can't leave any witnesses.
Jordan was the person who encouraged and justified the crimes the gang committed. This made him particularly more dangerous than all the others. His ability to not only blend into, but also influence society and manipulate those around him made him a significantly more frightening adversary than those he commanded. Not only that, but one that was hard to pin down. His high-powered attorneys and the chokehold he had on the other members of the gang protected Jordan from facing consequences for a very long time. But being on Dexter's radar eliminated these protections. After teaming up with Lumen Pierce, the woman meant to be their latest victim,
would you do me a favor?
What?
Stop talking.
Dexter was able to help take down every member of the Barrel Girls gang before facing Jordan. Jordan was the final and most capable target of Dexter and Lumen's mission to get justice for the girls in the barrels. Their takedown of Jordan Chase brought to light the idea of trauma-based revenge, something Dexter and Lumen had in common, until of course they didn't. Lumen got a more immediate source of vengeance. She was also not raised by Harry Morgan. She didn't live with the same deep-seated darkness Dexter had, and she wasn't trained to kill people as a release for her anger. When she eliminated the people who'd hurt her, she was able to move on and could no longer be with Dexter, a person she knew was a serial killer and would not be able to stop as she had. Also in this season, Dexter had to go up against Detective Joseph Quinn and ex-cop Stan Liddy.
You got a name?
Dexter Morgan.
The kind of name is Dexter?
They temporarily paired up to get to the bottom of Dexter's strange behavior, but of the two, only Liddy died by the end of that investigation. Partially due to his love for Deb and partially due to his desire to stay alive, once his investigation into Dexter started to make Quinn's life unravel, he backed off and asked Liddy to do the same.
Stay the away from me, and stay the away from Deb.
But Liddy wouldn't. He kidnapped Dexter in a desperate attempt to get his job back and play the hero. But as usual, his proximity to Dexter's truth led to his own death, while Dexter walked away unscathed. Though not the big bad of the season, Stan Liddy was a major obstacle for Dexter, and there was no chance he was going to live long after he decided to keep digging into Dexter's business. No doubt Dexter had his work cut out for him with the BGG and Liddy, but it was nothing like what he and the Miami Metro team would face in the coming season. The major antagonist in Dexter Season 6 is seemingly a duo known as the Doomsday Killers, or the DDK. Composed of Professor James Geller and his former student, Travis Marshall, the two sought out to bring about the end of the world in a giant religious movement consisting of several individual acts of murder. At first, the pair appear to be working together to carry out a string of gruesome, biblically inspired murders based on apocalyptic imagery from the Book of Revelation. The victims were killed and displayed in elaborate tableaux meant to signal the coming of end times. These murders were meticulously staged and symbolic, reflecting a fanatical belief in divine judgment and spiritual cleansing of the earth. James Geller, introduced as a well-known but disgraced professor of religious studies, was thought to have gone underground years before the events of this season. His student, Travis Marshall, portrayed as a deeply conflicted and submissive person, seemed to be acting under Geller's direction. He often came off as remorseful or disturbed by the killings, though he saw them as necessary per Geller's instruction. As the season progresses, however, the major twist that Geller had been dead for years is revealed.
You killed me, Travis.
Travis was hallucinating Geller the entire time. In reality, Travis committed all of the murders on his own. He had used his imagined version of Geller as a sort of psychological coping mechanism to justify his horrific actions and externalize the guilt he felt over killing innocent people, including his own sister. He was deeply disturbed. This revelation showed Travis as the true big bad of the season. He was a man whose descent into religious delusion transformed him into a full-fledged serial killer. His motivations clearly stemmed from a warped sense of some divine mission, and his madness made him unpredictable to even Dexter and the Miami Metro Homicide Department. Travis lacked any moral restraint and targeted the innocent solely in pursuit of his deranged apocalyptic visions. The season ends after Travis kidnapped Dexter's infant son, Harrison, with the intent to use him as a human sacrifice during an eclipse. Dexter is able to stop him, get Travis on his table, and kill him. But the season ended with a major cliffhanger. Deb walked in on Dexter as he killed Travis that night. And with that, his sister, who was also the lieutenant of homicide, witnessing him commit murder, nothing would ever be the same. In the 7th season, Isaac Serko is the big bad Dexter faced off against. Isaac was a powerful figure within the Ukrainian Koshka Brotherhood. He had no knowledge of or interest in Dexter initially, but after Dexter eliminated someone Isaac cared about, he was squarely in the Mafia man's sights. Isaac arrives in Miami only after the mysterious disappearance of Victor Baskov. Victor was killed by Dexter as he tried to flee Miami to avoid being arrested for murder. Victor killed Mike Anderson, a member of Miami Metro Homicide, as well as a young woman named Kaja Soroka. He may have killed even more than those two. Victor was described as reckless and a hothead throughout the season by all who knew him.
Victor was impulsive, yes. He did a stupid thing, yes. But he was one of us.
Initially, the Koshkas aren't sure if Victor ran off or if he was killed, but Isaac seems sure. He knows that Victor would have reached out to him in a timely fashion if he were safe. Isaac didn't buy the idea that Victor fled with little more than the shirt on his back. He is able to track Victor's last known location and follows that trail all the way to Dexter's boat.
Is this your boat?
Yeah, this is my boat. That's why I'm on it.
There, Isaac found collateral damage in the form of Lewis Green. Lewis and Dexter had an ongoing beef, but as usual, Dexter was not going to be the one to lose. He was in the process of handling his issues with Lewis, and he was winning. Dexter got Lewis fired from his job with the department and made Lewis's girlfriend leave him by exposing him for the liar he was. In retaliation, Lewis planned to ruin Dexter's boat, and that is where Isaac found and killed him. Why? Well, while Isaac's initial mission was to avenge Victor's death, what began as a standard vendetta gradually transformed into a personal crusade fueled by Isaac's profound grief. It turned out that Isaac and Victor were romantically involved in a relationship Isaac kept hidden due to the Brotherhood's intolerance of homosexuality.
I thought I'd feel comfortable in a gay bar.
Unlike many of Dexter's previous enemies, Isaac was calm, intelligent, and deliberate. He was so skilled that he often stayed several steps ahead of anyone who came against him. Rather than relying solely on brute force, Isaac engaged Dexter in psychological warfare, as well as eventually recognized Dex as a kindred spirit. They were both killers who functioned within a very broken moral code. Their confrontations were very personal, not only because Isaac was physically threatening, but also because of the underlying respect they felt for the challenges each other battled in their own work. Throughout the season, Isaac's character became increasingly tragic as his desperation grew. His relentless pursuit of vengeance was revealed to be less about loyalty to the mob and more about his love for Victor and how lost he was with him gone.
What did you do to the man who murdered your spouse? Nothing you wouldn't have done.
This vulnerability isolated him from his own organization, leading them to eventually betray Isaac in order to stop him from interrupting their cash flow. In the end, Isaac's downfall came not by Dexter's own hand, but through the crumbling of his power and alliance with the Brotherhood. He was tracked down by a hitman that the Koshkas hired and shot after helping Dexter with one final kill. His death was incredibly somber, with even Dexter mourning him, knowing that the two of them were not so different despite their initial feud. Isaac Soroka was cemented as one of the series' most layered and humanized rivals. He, much like Dexter, was driven not just by a craving for violence, but by heartbreak and a longing that was never to be answered. Oliver Saxon, also known as the Brain Surgeon, was the big bad of Season 8. Initially, Saxon was introduced as an unknown serial killer who removed pieces of his victims' brains for seemingly no reason. He was eventually revealed to be Daniel Vogel, the son of Dr. Evelyn Vogel. Dr. Vogel was a neuropsychiatrist, a colleague of the department, and a woman who knew Harry Morgan personally. She helped Harry formulate Dexter's code and was interested in doing the same for other people she diagnosed as psychopaths. Oliver's true identity remained a mystery for most of the season. In the meantime, the brain surgeon was being investigated by Miami Metro, and suspicion fell on various individuals, mostly consisting of Dr. Evelyn Vogel's former patients. It turns out that it actually was Daniel Vogel.
It's a match. Saxon is Vogel's son.
Who had faked his own death in a fire and changed his name to Oliver Saxon. Saxon was a dark foil to Dexter. He embodied the traits of a true psychopath without the moral constraints that Dexter suffered from. The season culminated in a tense and personal confrontation between Dexter and Saxon after Saxon shot and mortally wounded Deb. Dexter had left his sister to apprehend Saxon legally, and that is when he shot her. Dexter was trying to escape with his then partner, Hannah McKay, to Argentina so that she could evade prison for crimes of her own, but that's not how the story played out. Oliver was the central villain, but the season introduced other adversaries who added difficulty to Dexter's life. The primary one being Jacob Elway, the owner of a PI company who was Deb's boss for a short spell. They sought bounties for large sums of money through their work. Elway relentlessly pursued Hannah in such a case, and that threatened Dexter's intended family and their future plans.
It's not safe with Elway on the hunt. You need to get out of here. Faster the better.
Eventually, Hannah outwitted Elway, but that was not the end of Dexter's problems. Before he could get to Oliver Saxon, Dexter had to eliminate a man named A.J. Yates. Yates was a serial killer who abducted women and kept their shoes as trophies after killing them. At first, Yates was the man Vogel and Dexter suspected of being the brain surgeon, mostly due to a surgical scar on his head from a procedure he'd undergone as a child at the behest of Dr. Vogel herself. However, Dexter eventually killed Yates, who had kidnapped and threatened the life of Dr. Vogel. They realized he was not the brain surgeon because the murder spree continued even after his death. Before Dexter could stop him, the brain surgeon managed to kill his own mother, Dr. Vogel, and mortally wounded Deborah. After Deb died, Dexter was left to flee Miami alone, abandoning his son Harrison and his girlfriend Hannah. He truly believed that he would only bring suffering and death to the people he loved, and he didn't want to put them in harm's way. He found himself in Oregon after dumping his sister's corpse into the ocean and sailing into a hurricane to fake his own death. Dexter wasn't in Oregon for long. The next time we see him, he's in a small town in New York called Iron Lake. There, Dexter encounters his newest foe, Kurt Caldwell. Kurt was a wealthy and influential figure in the small town, even being referred to as unofficial mayor by many of the townsfolk. Beneath his charming and philanthropic exterior, however, he harbored a dark secret. He was a serial killer who killed young women who were in need and became known as the runaway killer. Kurt's MO was luring young women, usually runaways or transients, into the remote cabin he had in the outskirts of town. He got them there under the guise of offering shelter and food, but once they were inside, he imprisoned them and subjected them to surveillance. Eventually, Kurt would release them into the woods, hunted them down, and killed them as they ran from his gun. Afterward, he'd embalm their bodies and display them as trophies in his private collection. His descent into murder was rooted in a traumatic childhood, but it was no excuse to kill innocents, and that is something Dexter and his son Harrison realized. It's likely that Kurt's mother abandoned him, leaving him with a father who, as a trucker, brought women into his truck to mistreat them. Kurt's father would have sex with these girls while his young son was in earshot. The pivotal moment came when Kurt picked up Angela Bishop's best friend, Iris, who was hitchhiking to get away from Iron Lake. He murdered her, marking his first kill and setting him on his path as a serial killer. And that was what spurred his downfall in the long run. Angela grew up to become the police chief of Iron Lake, and she was unrelenting in solving the case of the missing girls from her area. As she followed that case, Dexter, her then boyfriend, discovered more and more knowledge about it all. Kurt's reign of terror came to an end when Dexter and Harrison uncovered his secret trophy room. Together, they confronted Kurt, which led to the final showdown where Dexter killed him in front of Harrison and cut him into pieces as usual. This ended Kurt's decades-long killing spree of young women.